sanctuary of Delphi is probably the most extraordinary of all ancient Greek sites. Delphi amazes all who visit it. This place is the center of the world. The ancient Greeks called it the omphalos, which means the navel of the earth. Zeus, the father of the gods, wanted to find the center of the universe, so he sent two eagles flying from the opposite ends of the universe, and the place where they met was Delphi.
Welcome to Delphi, Indiana, where our storied past is fueling a stellar future.
Whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation, sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, wherever men or women are persecuted, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe.
No, I'm going to go on the record right now and say that they are trying to kill Rick Allen.
Yeah.
They want him to die.
Yeah.
It's like always like in and out, in and out. They don't want him. They don't want us to see
Because
it.
he's my size. Chains and collars and leashes all over.
It's all about optics. You don't have all of those people around Rick Allen because they want to keep everybody else safe. They don't want us to see Rick Allen. They don't want us to look at Rick Allen. They don't want us to see his face and his eyes. Remember when he came in June and he was all doped up and he was dissociative and he was experiencing psychosis from being tortured and starved and sleep deprived and probably withheld his medication. All of these things that they were doing to him so that he would show up looking like a zombie and couldn't protest or assist in his defense. Guess what? The eyes of the world are on them. They're not allowed to do that to him anymore, and they have tried to break him. And Rick Allen, he's not going to break. Look he has done a year in solitary confinement. A year.
He's on the upside of things. Like if he's still alive, he's getting better every day.
His attorneys get thrown off the case, and he turns to his wife and he says, "It's okay. You didn't break him. You're not going to break him. He's not guilty. Whatever they're trying to do, you're hip to it. It is not going to happen."
Do you have any idea what their defense is going to be, given the fact that the judge has basically taken away their defense?
Am I the only person in the world talking about attacking the timeline, attacking the timeline, attacking the timeline, attacking the timeline?
Do you have any idea what their defense is going to be, given the fact that the judge has basically taken away their defense? Taken away their defense.
Like, am I in crazy? 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 Like, am I in crazy?
Challenge the timeline of the murders.
Talking about attacking the timeline.
What's the strategy today?
Winning.
Winning.
Whose motherfucking hair is that?
What's the strategy today?
Winning.
Winning.
The consensus has been challenge the timeline of the murders. Challenge the timeline of the murders.
Abby and Libby were best friends. They were more like sisters than friends. Abby didn't have a phone. Only Libby had a phone, but she had set Abby's fingerprint to be able to use Libby's phone.
Bullshit.
So what do you think is important about that clip?
So that statement about they were so close that Abby's fingerprint unlocked Libby's phone, to me sounds like trying to get ahead of a problem. The state, because that came from the state's opening statement.
Yeah.
That's trying to get ahead of a problem. Because
what is the problem they're trying to get ahead of?
The problem is that Libby's phone was accessed and unlocked. It's just a very odd thing to put in an opening statement because you're trying to imprint, I'm going to use his word, you're trying to imprint that onto the jury. You want trying to condition the jury to like think about, to remember that, but like, why not just give her the passcode? Why would they need her? It just, to me, it seems like they can't account for, they can't explain away something to do with how Libby's phone was unlocked. It's like putting a sweatshirt in the wash to explain how a hair got on the finger. It just, to me, it feels like they're just getting ahead of a problem. That's all. It's just weird. I think that they're gearing up
to do a gaslight.
Because why would you put that in? You've got 13 minutes for an opening statement and you find it important or necessary to include that, oh, by the way, we're trying to suppress all of the cell phone data. We're also trying to discredit the defense's claim about the phone being accessed in the middle of the night or like in the early morning. The prosecutor decides to open his case, his 13-minute opening. He's talking about unlocking a phone. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even have a theory of the crime anymore. I really don't. Like, I have no theory of the crime. I just know that Rick didn't do it. That's all I know. But that, when Andrea like read that off of, because she read that verbatim from her notes from Nick's opening statement, as soon as she said that, it was like, just like fucking red flags. Like, that's getting ahead of something. How would they know that? How would they know that? Would they know that because somebody used Abby's finger to unlock Libby's phone? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. That's my spiel. I'm concerned.
Yeah, because you could see that like fingerprint 2 unlock the phone and knowledge C, probably.
Something like that.
Probably.
I'm concerned.
Good morning, y'all. Can you hear me? So Boone and I are finishing our walk. We had a bit of a silly morning, but we're here. So how's everybody doing? I wanted to include that clip that we just watched because it was just one of the things that we learned yesterday on day 1 of this trial that I've been thinking about a lot. And I feel like it's going to be a common theme that we see where basically, I think Andy Baldwin even kind of predicted this in his opening statement, but the state is going to have to change their theory of the crime probably throughout the course of the trial. That's I feel like I agree with that prediction. I don't know what everyone else feels, but let me say hi to people. Hi, Thomas Scott, MB, Serenity Meow. I don't know how to pin on mobile, so Psalm 91, hello, good morning. BGOG, always good to see you. Dr. NB, whose mother effing hair is that? Hi, Tammy. M's, love of my life. Hi, Bill. Salty Sleuth, Royal Weave. Jenny. What else we got? CBC, Florida Court Reporter. A highly trained real-time stenographer could provide information about the case. It's much like great captioning. Great captioning done by great stenographers, just saying. No readbacks. I bet Judge Gold wouldn't even allow that. I have a feeling she would have a problem with that. But I agree with you. M says it doesn't matter if he'll try to say Abby tried to unlock it. It would have happened after the state says they were dead. Right. There's a lot of problems with all of this, I think. Lawyer Lee thought it showed how close they were, but I don't think she knows Nick and his antics. Well, the jury, I think that you're right. And I think that could be a good thing in terms of coverage, because someone like Lawyer Lee or Andrea, who have been following certainly more recently maybe don't know like the obsessive minutia and like 7 years of, you know, details and rumors and context, that might be good because the jurors are probably more similar to how like lawyer or Andrea would hear this case. If that makes sense. So Ange is on. I'm an IRL streamer now. That Noir says, I'm a lurker and I typically listen. I live in Michigan. I've driven to Delphi for Randy's walks for the girls. Rick Allen checked me out at CVS once I saw him stalking the other. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people, I remember thinking he has blue eyes, so there's no way he could be Bridge Guy. That's interesting, Bet. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I guess we just, and again, like, we have all of this context and all these details and all of these inconsistencies that the state and law enforcement have kind of thrown at us for 7 years. The jury doesn't have any of that. So I guess it kind of is, it's good for the state. You know, they have the benefit of like newness and like purity of thought for jurors. But yeah, it's definitely confusing. We need a GoPro for Boone. Can you imagine? That would be so fun. He tried to kill a squirrel this morning, and then a neighbor's dog got loose. Oh, that's how I pin. Yeah, so like, it's a good point. And again, like, Andrea is more than capable of, you know, having good discernment and weighing facts in real time. But just because we were outside of the courtroom all day with access to media and personal accounts and news, and Andrea and everyone inside was basically cut off from the world for 12 hours. There will probably be more instances where, you know, what's happening inside the courtroom is not necessarily reflecting the reality of what's happening outside and vice versa. Does that make sense? Hi, Steve. My favorite YouTuber. That's so nice. A squirrel chase would have been epic. Yeah. I was saying a neighbor's dog got out, and we were trying to help him. She caught it. It's a little yappy, crazy terrier. But anyway, thank y'all for being patient. That says, I took photos of the bridge that day. That's when they fixed the bridge. It was during his first court hearing the same week. Oh, wow. So, like, I guess November. That would have been 2022, Bet. Thank you for sharing. Where is Shane Evans? Probably hiding under his, the jury table. I don't know what he's doing. That guy. I can't even blame him, though, because the town has elected him and like appointed him. So, I mean, obviously, I don't know. Looking Glass Tarot. Good morning, y'all. R&M Productions, new to your chat. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Normally I'm on the screen, but I'm walking my little dog, so I'll be back inside in a minute. Tar Heel. Why is that so hard for me to say? You'd think that it'd be easy for me to say. Tar Heel Girl. Morning, I'm late. Burning rubber and drifting is the best coverage. I think you're right about Abby's fingerprint opening the phone. It's just, I hope I'm wrong. It just feels like, and even if it's not like something even that overt or obvious, it just, to me, just feels like, I just wanted it to be on our radar, that's all. So that in a week or 4 weeks, we could be like, we could just have that kind of in the forefront. Let's see who else. A GoPro would be amazing. And she can play the clips for their walks when she's playing, which almost never happens. Thanks, Ems, for lying for me for our new people. No one has access to my phone except for me. But I'm a cynical adult who watches way too much true crime stuff. Hey, Thomas, good morning. That's Shane Evans. Hey, David, welcome. Always happy to see David. Appointed, same as Nick. We love when lurkers say hello. We really do. And we also love when they don't. We love when they just lurk. We love all of it. Hunter Johnson. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry if I'm sniffing in your ears. Dead City Rats. I like that name. Good morning, all. Stupid question. If not Rick Allen, who does the evidence point to? Not a stupid question, in fact. Probably the best question. If not Rick, who? And fortunately, you know, the defense doesn't have to. I mean, they're trying. They've tried to present that evidence, but Judge Bohl is blocking all third-party evidence. But yeah, I think that's a great question. And I have no idea. Honestly, if I did, I would say. I have my suspicions about involvement, but I have no idea what happened. I feel like the more we're learning, the less I know. The fingerprint may have been programmed, but they are emphasizing it for the exact reasons you said. That's kind of where I'm at. I wrote Rick Allen and never got a reply. I feel awful for him. Hey, that's really very sweet of you. I hope that I can understand, I guess, like why he probably wouldn't. There's so many crazy people out there, obviously present company not included, because y'all are not crazy and your intentions are good. But yeah, I imagine that he probably received it though and read it, and that's important, and that makes me feel good. I feel like I've stepped back into the 80s where I was told, let the court know if I see any recorders. They were seized. My record only no audio. Wow. You know, I joined X to send Sleuthy the info I found. Good. Well, I usually talk to Sleuthy every day. So when I talk to her today, we will talk about that. I didn't know you could have two fingerprints to open a phone. I wasn't sure about that either. And actually, Catastrophe, our buddy, one of our family members here, our cult members, she actually did a bunch of research on it yesterday, just because she had a lot of the same questions that we're talking about, and she said that it does look like you can have like fingerprint 1, fingerprint 2, a couple different fingerprints programmed. But DB made a good point about how if they are going to be utilizing like the knowledge C technology, whatever that entails, they will be able to know which fingerprint unlocked a phone, if that happened and when, etc. Interesting. Four Pits, good morning. Just realized Delphi's loaded with 90% dirtbags. Oh, Four Pits, what's that say about you? You're not a dirtbag. If you are, you're like the fun kind of dirtbag, like the rest of us. Hi, Cleveland. After listening to the Down the Hill and hearing Delphi Fire Chief Daryl Sterrett explain how extensively they searched the bridge and area, I never understood how the clothing or the girls weren't found that night. So somebody remind me, and I'm actually, as soon as I get inside, I'm going to pull up our notes, and we're going to do like a really brief recap of all the stuff that we learned yesterday. But does anybody remember the specifics of Daryl Sterrett? I know that they said he will be testifying to the fact that he searched the opposite side of the creek from where the girls were found. He searched that night, and he didn't. Yeah, I'll have to go through the notes and see exactly what he said. What's your thoughts on the two people theory? Honestly, it's looking more and more likely to me so far that this was a multiple offender crime. I don't know in what that looks like or what to even make of it yet, but if what was suggested yesterday by Andy Baldwin is, if that pans out, which I suspect it will in some degree, or else he wouldn't have said it. Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Ems has a really interesting theory, actually, and it's a good one, especially because of how the third-party suspects are just very strange. Good Lord, Ange, do you ever sleep? Yeah, sometimes. I figured it would probably be a low sleep few weeks, but I don't know how many hours of sleep I got last night. What time did we finish streaming? Like 2:30, like a bunch of crazies? Probably got like 5 hours of sleep. That's not enough for some people, but I do okay on 5 hours, like one night. Hi, Gravit. Hey, Bill. It's not much, but it gave me nightmares last night. Thomas, I promise you that I will not let the day end without paying that some attention. Another YouTuber stated firsthand the fire chief testified that he searched the exact spot the girls were found. Yeah, there's a lot. So I think Daryl Sterrett. I think he'll be an important witness. We had 68 people at the walk on Sunday. Great. Awesome. Was Burger pulling Jerry Holman in the courtroom yesterday? Hunter Johnson is allowed to have 10 fingerprints on his phone. That's helpful information. Fiend is the first person to follow Thomas on Twitter. Hell yeah. Let's see. All right, y'all. So I'm going to switch over. I'm back inside. I'm going to switch back over to the computer. So give me like 2 minutes, y'all. I'll be right with you.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. An hour and 3 minutes late. Oh my God, that's really bad. That's my worst one yet. All right, y'all. So has anybody, before we jump into our notes and kind of do a recap of yesterday, with our awesome trial update doc that DB and a couple other people have been helping us with, anybody hear anything of note this morning? I know that there were less people in the line this morning than we've seen. But then again, it's a Saturday. There were like, yesterday was a marathon. Yeah, it was a wild day. I was here all day, so I didn't have to actually stand in line or do anything. But yeah, I imagine that people like Andrea and Lee, who spent like 12 hours plus, actually, no, let's see, a lot of them got there like 3 a.m. And didn't leave until like close to 5. So I can't see this Hunter person, so I'm having a peaceful morning, but y'all, I trust y'all to handle business. I'm not too worried about it, I guess. Oh, here's Hunter Johnson. Have a good one, everyone. Just know they got the right guy. I would love to have that level of confidence, Hunter. I'm glad that you are at peace with that idea. It would be really nice to have a little bit of a shred of confidence and peace. I'm just not there. But I appreciate you saying that and sharing your opinion. All right, y'all. I haven't seen the rest of Hunter's chats, so I have a little more grace probably than yours. So this is Saturday, October 19th. Yeah, all of you, I mean, just paying attention and following Patty Hoosier is stressful and exhausting. So I hope everybody is taking care of themselves. This is also just like heavy subject matter, obviously, because we're not ghouls. Those of us, I'll just speak for myself. I believe Rick Allen is entirely factually innocent. And I also believe that this is a tragic, horrible fucking nightmare of a crime. And I really want justice for the girls. And that means you got to get the right fucking person. So I think that for some reason there's like this idea that if you support, the defendant and his innocence or even his due process, that you don't support the girls or the victims or, whatever. And that's just so silly. Hoosier, I hope you liked, I included you in our intro. I hope that's okay. I didn't get your consent to use your voice, but I figured you wouldn't mind. You're a soundbite now, Hoosier. I mean, you're so much more than a soundbite, but you're also now a soundbite. Where is this thing? Oh, that's why. Of course, you always have my consent. Excellent. It's so important. Why can't I find this document that we made, DB? Oh, here it is. Delphi trial, running updates. So again, if anyone hears anything like of note, gets any updates or is following any of the accounts and gets any updates from inside the courtroom, because they've been in there for about an hour now, so they'll probably, I don't know, what are they going to take a break and then take a look and then conclude at noon? That seems silly. Oh my goodness, there's my friend, my BFF. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything on the walk. It doesn't look like much has happened yet this morning. All right. So we have been, I say we as if I really contributed to this at all. I really didn't, but we have been working on. Can I share it yet, DB, or you want to do something first? Oh, thank you. Dropping me the linky. Thank you, sir. The stinky linky. Can y'all see this? Yes. Yes, you can. So, Allie got in today. Awesome. Oh, really? Allie Mata got in today? That makes me really happy. I would love to hear Allie's firsthand perspective as to Judge Gull's conduct and behavior and attitude. I'm really, really interested. Do a share, okay. In how Allie kind of perceives, oh no, we're starting early, y'all. And how Allie perceives the judge. Okay, so yesterday, we're going to start just by going through this doc and giving, I'll share it in the chat too, but this is our, goes against human rights to deny water. Judge Gold, I think Andrea said it best. Judge Gold doesn't really seem too concerned with like the law or like humanity. So it sounds like Bob is out of town, so Allie Mata got in. Does anyone know who else got in? Probably, I think, Lawyer Lee and Allie. So that's good. I feel good knowing that those two individuals are inside. This is a good question. My King of Kings, good morning. What if someone has allergies or asthma and they need to have a drink? I guess they would have to excuse themselves from the trial proceedings, leave the courtroom, and not be admitted again until either until a break, I think. So, Hi, Ellie Baker. Good morning. Nice to see you. I'm so glad Allie got in. You go, Allie. Hey, Precocent. Hammy is over the moon that Allie's there instead of Bob. Love that. Tom W went again in the end. Fabulous. Oh, good. Excellent. Love that. Can you boo Fatty in the courtroom? I think that speaks to individual skill and aptitude, DB. I don't know if I can answer that. Lawyer Lee looked so tired last night. Is there any boots on the ground that could stand in line for her going forward? That's a great question and a very nice thought. It makes me nervous. I suspect that what's good for the goose is not good for the defense people. So that I don't know if someone could do that for her. But yeah, she did look really tired. I like that they have tomorrow off. Although, I don't know, one day off after like days of 15-hour days is a lot. Love R&M's community. Likewise. They're the best. Someone can bring them food and drink. Yes, another thing that Andrea mentioned is that you can exit and leave for lunch, but you will lose your seat from the morning. So what people are having to do is they exit for lunch, make a turn around and get right back in line to go back inside. But they're over at noon today, right? That's good. Yeah, I want to talk about access a little later on, but let me just read through some of these for anyone who's like tuning in and actually looking for updates. So I'm just going to rapid fire read through these. Per Julie Melvin, Susan Hendricks, cut the line. That's funny. Actually, we did see her in line, so that checks out. Gull ordered law enforcement officers to confiscate 5 photographers' cameras and allowed the officers to destroy the contents without determining whether or not there was any law violated or like any decorum violated. 4 media members, including a wire service, Associated Press, and network photographer with NBC, had their cameras confiscated, memory cards erased. They've been banned from the trial after pointing their cameras at prohibited access areas outside the courtroom. Gull said that the individuals violated the media decorum order issued ahead of the trial. Outrageous. Outrageous. Judge Gull said Richard Allen deserves a fair trial away from the nonsense of the media. Well, we know that she wants him to have a trial away from the media. We know that much. Judge Gull ruled that the sketches are not able to be discussed at trial, meaning old guy sketch and new guy sketch. Hi, Gravital Punishment. Good morning. Good to see you. Chelsea, my love. We need to send all our favorites snack baskets and liquid IV so they can hydrate. Susan! Susan. Kate says that this has never happened before in the history of the Associated Press. Well, unprecedented times maybe call for radical response. I hope that the AP will actually have a backbone and do something, since they are the most equipped to actually do something. I don't think Lawyer Lee realized what hornet's nest she was getting into. That's probably true. For anyone who's new covering this, that's probably true. Sometimes I still am surprised at the hornet's nest of this case. A big-ass case like this and a courtroom of 25 seats is a bunch of BS. A bunch of shit. Yeah, I was telling a family member this morning about basically the antics and of Judge Gull. And just kind of talking about the fact that, like, 24 seats available when is not a public trial. And I feel so confident that any reason, I mean, I say reasonable, it is in Indiana, but like if this were to go before a higher court in any capacity, I cannot see a higher court in any like seriousness that takes itself seriously in any way to say that Judge Gull is honoring the spirit of public access law and rules. Like, just because she's technically, the doors are open to the public, that is not the spirit of the law is important. The spirit of the law and the intention and the intended impact of law is important, because laws are fluid and life is fluid, and laws have to be somewhat malleable to align and be relevant in modern times. This is not what the fuck the public access laws were meant to look like. And Judge Gull knows that. She just doesn't care. If anyone sees an item on this list that doesn't have a link source, add or message me the link. There are signs, no media on restaurants and businesses. So weird. It is not complicated. Sham 666, our commenter of the week. It's not complicated. The lack of transparency only makes media circus worse. 1000%. Alan Prickman, the one of two people that I follow on Reddit. That's it. Alan and Yellow Jacket. Letter of the law. The audio is supposed to be publicly accessible in Indiana. Period. As are the exhibits. What position or award is Gull striving to receive by being so damn hardcore with this case? I have no idea. David, this is a podunk county. They never imagined this kind of carnage playing out in their quaint village. I agree with this in part. I do think they've yeah. Gull could say it is available after trial. I still think that a court would rule that that's not, because she's not, there's no remedy for the public in the meantime. So I just think that if the media would actually grow a fucking spine, I don't know what else to say about it. It is, Hunter, that's not how it works. That's not how the fuck things work here. In America, if I'm arrested and I'm put on trial, I would like my family and my community and my friends to be able to bear witness to that entire fucking process from start to finish, because that's what keeps us safe. If I'm a member of the public and I would like to bear witness to this trial, whatever that means, if it means I have to travel to Indiana to do it, fine. But even if I wanted to, if I decided and could do that right now, I wouldn't get in the fucking courtroom. So it's not a public trial. Period. If I can't get in the courtroom and I want to, if I can't watch the trial and I want to, and I'm a member of the public, it's not a fucking public trial. Period. I don't know where the discrepancy is in that, or the confusion. There's no ambiguity. This is a closed, secret proceeding, and that's fucking insane. Sorry. All right. So old guy sketch and new guy sketch are not allowed, or young guy sketch are not allowed to be discussed at trial. Per Donnie, Judge Gull and the defense were cordial, joking at one point, ? McClellan and the defense spent time joking and talking with one another at the beginning, per Donnie. And the jury is in the room with them at this time, so that's probably not a bad thing. Hair found in Abby's hand was never tested for DNA against the girl's family or friends. And we did learn that the members of the family gave DNA again to law enforcement as recently as 2 or 3 days ago. Or no, as recently as, I don't know, very recently. And the state has been scrambling to get that hair tested as recently as like 3 days ago now, which is crazy. Hey, Just Deb. Opening statement of McClellan was 13 minutes. Opening statement of Mr. Andy Baldwin for the defense was about an hour. McClellan opened with, "We told you this case is about Bridge Guy, a bullet, and the brutal murders of 2 girls. Today, you'll hear the rest of the story." You do agree that they should allow a camera in, but you realize we're just asking for audio. We will take the bare minimum table scraps. How is it not secret, dude? We can't even see the defendant. Why is she barring? I'm going to read this. I'm going to get through it, but like I have so much. Why is she barring the public and the media from photographing a presumed innocent pretrial defendant? How is that keeping him safe? Because everybody that I've talked to that's seen him says that he's tiny, 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 very tiny, very unassuming looking, and the opposite of intimidating. He looks nice, he looks healthy, he looks attentive, he's cordial and polite. Why wouldn't the public be allowed to bear witness to that? Why do we get to see Brian Koberger and Lori Vallow and fucking Karen Reed? Why do we get to see these people, pretrial defendants, well, at one time, pretrial defendants? Why do we get to see them? Why is Rick Allen? Here's my question to you, Hunter. What makes Rick Allen and this case so fucking unique and different from every other case in the history of the fucking United States? What makes this case so unique and special that the rules have to be broken and bent at every turn? That's a legitimate question. I'm not trying to fight with you. I appreciate you being somewhat polite. Like, what makes this so different? I would love to know. I agree with this. They can't find guards short enough to escort him without looking like giants. Certainly doesn't help their case about how the last face the girls saw before they died was this Rick Allen. Like, yeah? I wish I could pull up the sketch right now. This face? Really? Okay. She's so concerned for Rick's safety that she lets a man who's repeatedly threatened to lynch him and kill him and murder him explicitly and publicly multiple times to be one of the 24 people in the courtroom. Yep. That's weird. Trials being public is as foundational to our justice system as the right to confront your accusers and know your charges. Yes, and also those rights have also been violated here. He wasn't allowed to confront his accusers. The judge has completely suppressed basically every defense strategy that the defense has raised. She's tried to suppress and probably will successfully suppress much of it. And I don't actually think we have an answer as to when Rick Allen was informed of what his charges were or when he was allowed to read his probable cause affidavit. We have no idea. The public didn't get it for a fucking month. So who's to say that he had it sooner? The defense wants it public. It was denied without hearing. Yeah. So the defense actually, just FYI, the defense has filed multiple motions and have even taken this. They have had interveners, relators file writs of mandamus to the Supreme Court of Indiana about the lack of transparency and access in this case. They have Sandollar. They have submitted things, as has the media. And also the defense is probably a little busy trying to defend their client and getting railroaded and blocked and Kool-Aid Man fucking steamrolled by this megalomaniac judge at every turn. They're probably like, you know what? Why don't we just like cut our losses and determine like what's our priority here? Defending the defendant or fighting again with the judge about this issue? Like, be fucking for real. Being disabled, I can't imagine that Gull would be able to address any ADA accommodations for the public who needs them. Prairie Jen, welcome. That's a great point. I think that we might have talked about that when we first heard about that. One of the jurors that was selected, the next day we found out they had been dismissed because they're type 1 diabetic. I don't know. I imagine that type 1 diabetics have served on juries before in the history of the United States. So what makes this trial so different? Again, I don't know anything about that person or their health history, but it did make me think, like, if I have a health condition and I need to take breaks or I need to, like, she claims that she's going to be accommodating and sensitive to the jurors' needs, but we have not seen that from her so far. So what if I'm a family member of a victim and I want to bear witness to the trial and I have a disability that doesn't allow me to travel or doesn't allow me to fucking, or I'm a friend of one of the girls then. Like, I don't have a reserve seat. I'm a friend of one of the girls or someone, and I want to bear witness. I was directly affected by this case and I want to bear witness to trial. And I can't transport myself there, or I can't sleep on the courthouse concrete sidewalk hoping to get a seat. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Not the exact. The lady at the ACLU said that a petition would help convince them to step in. Okay, well, where's Percocent? Where's Kat? Where's our peeps? Let's do it. I mean, it shouldn't have to come down to that, but if it does, that's fine. I mean, copy paste Karen Reed media intervener motion. Brian Koberger, they had a media coalition file a really fucking good motion. I think just as interveners, it was like a brief, I think, too. I forget what the issue was. I think it was, I don't know if it was streaming or video, but it was something to do with public access. Like, we have the templates to do this. It's been done before. Why is Indiana acting like this has never been done before? Listen, if you can't hold it for 12 hours, Goal said, fuck you, you're out. I can't see Dan for some reason. I don't know if I have him blocked or he has me blocked, but Dan, if you're here, welcome. I don't know why I can't see you. Judge Gold denies normal ass requests. They know she's not televising unless she wants to publicly lambast them. Any word from the media today about yesterday? And I assume you mean like the media that was had their shit destroyed. I don't believe we've heard any updates except that so Kate has done some research. Apparently the Associated Press, this has never happened to the AP in the history of the AP. And it looks like and some concerned citizens have reached out to the ACLU. So I mean, hopefully we'll know, but it's a weekend, so I don't know. ACLU moves quickly if you donate money, right? Okay, stop reading chat. I'm gonna stop reading the chat for a minute. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. I'm gonna ruin our thing, DV. There we go. Good lord, y'all. What are we gonna do about this? Why am I zoomed in so much? Ah. Okay. Moving right along. Richard Allen deserves a fair trial away from the media. The hair found in Abby's hand was never tested. Opening statement, blah, blah, blah. We talked about all of this. Nick McClellan said that 2 separate weapons were used. I think, DB, can I put an asterisk? Asterisk here, because I have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure Andrea said that she got, when she was talking about this quote, it was coming from, it's coffee. Yeah, it's true. Angie needs a lot of things. It was coming from Andy. So, I mean, it sounds like they both probably mentioned it, which makes sense. Barbara McDonald says that Nick McClellan said the 2019 witness, likely Sarah Carbaugh, talked about a muddy, bloody man, looked like he had slaughtered a pig. That's new. I thought that she said he looked like he'd been in a fight. So that's a new detail. Per our friend Donnie Burgess, Nick McClellan, the prosecutor, said that Richard Allen used fear and intimidation to scare Abby and Libby with his gun, and he kept harping on fear and power and control during his opening. He said Richard Allen wanted to essay the girls, but was stopped. He was interrupted, and so instead he slit their throats and he left. Interesting. Perdani and oh my god. I need to just unplug this. Oh my god. Mother. Okay. Okay, it's unplugged. Won't happen again, y'all. It'll probably happen again. Where did I leave off? All right. Yeah, so apparently they both, Andy and Nick, when they were talking about the video, claimed that Richard Allen, the bridge guy, said girls down the hill. But we always heard that the quote was guys down the hill. So that's interesting. I don't know what to make. I really don't know what to make of that. I really don't. I have no idea what to make of it. David Rogers, welcome. New member. Awesome. He was interrupted, but made it. Yeah, sorry. Read the document, Angela. Per Donnie Burgess, Baldwin easily went over an hour in his opening, and he veered very close to plainly presenting evidence. Judge Gold stepped in once to admonish Baldwin to wrap it up and that she had given plenty of leeway. The state... Oh, I just unplugged. Okay, never mind. The state is now scrambling to test the hair that we heard about. Per Barbara McDonald, the state just started testing the hair 2 days ago, as of yesterday. Per Donnie, Andy Baldwin states that strands of hair were female hairs twisted around Abby Williams' fingers and that the hairs contained the root and all. This is, I should probably be sharing these, huh? Yeah, they both said it. Yeah, that's what I thought, Fiend. That's why I put a little strings. I loved you, Hunter. Oh, they're funny. Kristen. I'm glad Kristen is here. Kristen is funny. Welcome, Kristen. Muddy Bloody Witness Sarah Carbaugh said that the man she saw walking on 300 North was wearing a tan jacket, sporting floofy hair, and was only bloody. Wait. Okay. So this I want to edit. I need to plug in my rogue computer then, or keyboard, because this is confusing and not entirely true. So said that so in 2017, Muddy Bloody Witness said the man she saw on 300 North was wearing a tan jacket, was muddy. In 2019, statement changed. I don't think that this is the floofy hair guy. Right? Floofy hair guy is the guy on the bridge. The guy that Sarah Carbaugh said is someone else. So I'm going to delete this. Don't be mad at me. Bloody. And now, muddy blue coat looked like he slaughtered a pig. And I'll add a source for that after, but that was a little bit confusing to me. I hope it's okay that I did that. Denied. Oh, motion. I see. File for a certificate of interlocutory appeal with Judge Cole. Lord. Denied without hearing. Rick never said anything of the sort. We don't know what Rick said. We know what Tony Liggett put in a PCA, 90% of which has already been ripped to shreds and basically proven to hold zero water. So Steve figured out membership. Awesome. Steve, that makes me happy. Good. Hi, Jessica. More alive to listen to while I work. People are taking the cops at their word for what came over what came out of people are taking the cops at their word for what Rick Allen allegedly said, but we don't know what he said because we haven't heard from him. We've only heard from one side. Serrated blade. Is it okay that I'm editing this, DB? I think you'll tell me if I can't, if it's not. Serrated blade and non-serrated blade allegedly used car footage and eyewitness to prove Rick had already left area. What did they say, by 2:15? The defense has also tried to discredit the prosecution's claim that the bullet found near the girls' bodies belonged to Rick Allen. Baldwin said that law enforcement commonly uses that type of bullet found at the crime scene, but police never investigated whether an officer was missing a .40 caliber bullet. Andy Baldwin also said that the owner of the property where the girls were abducted, so that was a discrepancy. They were talking about Brad Weber in this part because Andrea clarified that. The owner of the property where the girls were abducted, and we're just going to say Brad Weber, owns a .40 caliber weapon, but his gun was never tested to see if it matched. That's okay, but his gun was never. It was tested. Was not able to be excluded as I don't know. Excluded and read the found shell casing. Why is two blades a huge issue? Thank you, Kokomo. That's so sweet of you. I appreciate you a lot. That's really nice. Thank you, Kokomo. Why is two weapons a huge issue? I think we'll probably find out more about why, but oh my God, I can't. I gotta stop with you. Hunter, you're no offense. I can't. I just can't. Andy Baldwin said that an expert will testify that the markings were insufficient on the ISP Labs test bullet to match Allen's gun to the bullet at the crime scene. Baldwin told the jury, "You'll see with your own eyes that the markings on the bullets do not match." This is significant to me because if you can tell with your own eyes for the defense opening. Thank you, Joe McFarlane. I appreciate you. That's really sweet. I keep saying that, but it really is. Y'all are the best. Andy Baldwin also attacked the cell phone evidence in the state's case. Yeah, I am so interested in that. Andy Baldwin held up a phone and said forensic data on these phones don't lie. Andy Baldwin also told jurors that the prosecution's case is going to fall apart before your eyes when they see the phone data evidence. Per Donnie Burgess, Andy Baldwin says that the defense will provide evidence to show that the girls were confronted by several people, then taken away from the bridge, killed on February 14th, as opposed to the state's February 13th assertion. Fiend is taller than Richard Allen. Source, your mom. That's true. So we actually have people that are members of this chat and kind of our regular viewers who do not believe that Rick Allen is innocent. There are people who are in the middle. There are people who lean towards guilt. So that's not at all what the problem here is. The problem is that I've just seen you make overt statements that are objectively false. And I'd rather read this list of new updates that we have from yesterday if it's all the same to you. But it makes no difference to me what your opinion about Rick Allen's guilt or innocence is. I just want people to be fact-based and open to being corrected when you're wrong. It's important. I'm often wrong. And most of the time I am open to being corrected unless DB's the one then I want to fight. Per ABC, Andy Baldwin says that the state's claims that Allen was in a parking lot near the trail at 1:30. The state claims that Allen was in a parking lot near the trails at 1:30 p.m. But Rick's cell phone data will show he left the trails by 2:15. PCA claim. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. PCA claims this year. Yes. So per the defense, the property owner's gun was never. I don't know what if that's BW or RL. So I'm just not gonna. All right. We have an update. I got a notification. I don't know what it says yet. New. More sketches from yesterday's opening statement. Witness testimony. This first one is Libby and Abby's family sitting in the gallery. The first three. Okay. All right. That's, I guess, an update. Kind of. Thank you, Kit. Yeah, so I want to come back and clarify this. The defense stated that Brad Weber's 40 caliber was tested but not excluded. Okay. Oh my god. I think I have another keyboard, which is the crazy part. I could be using a different one. It's just like way old. You're right. Okay. Good point. Dr. NB keeps me well. The defense stated Brad Weber's 40 caliber gun was okay. So this is Ron Logan then. The defense stated Brad Weber's 40 caliber gun was tested but not excluded. Terrifying. Start source. So this is all according to Julie Melvin. I think she was on Teresa's live. The copy. Paste. Hey, Criminal Network. This is such a, hey, young black economist, good to see you. Always appreciate your commentary. And this is such a good reminder. You know, there are people that literally study internet trolls. It's fascinating. It is fascinating. There are like proven ways to deal with instigators and just people that troll. I'm not saying that that's what Hunter's doing, but. So per Julie Melvin on Criminality, I just linked the live that this is from. And remember, this is secondhand. We're getting all of this secondhand from someone who was there listening and trying to absorb. So like if there are discrepancies or details that are missing or contradicting what someone else heard, let us know. We want this to be like a living document. So witness one, Becky Patty, was the first person on the stand. She was her direct exam was by Stacey Diener. According to Becky, everyone went home at 2 a.m. So I guess that means everyone. Does that mean family? I don't know. Becky said that she did not get a hold of Anna until after we called the police. Right. She tried. I think she said she had tried to call Anna and couldn't get a hold of her for various reasons. Andy brings up to Becky the close. I think this means, yeah, I don't know. Witness number 2, Kelsey German, Libby's sister. You were out there with your cousin, Cody. Kelsey corrects and says Uncle Cody. Kelsey dropped them off the trail, asked about, and then was asked about the sweatshirts. She got them out of the back of her car, right? Change in story. Oh my God. Y'all, hold on. Well, no, I'm not. I'll just deal with it. I am going to switch keyboards though, because this is ridiculous. The other thing that I was thinking is like, I guess we have the luxury, the benefit, and also the misfortune of having followed this case for a long time, meaning that like we're well acquainted with like the minutia. All right, y'all, BRB. I can't do this. Is obscene. I'll be right back. We're in business, y'all. This is, I don't know how old this is. But Old Faithful. Old Faithful. We have an update from our favorite glorified copywriter. Just kidding. From Bob Seagal. Thanks to Hoosier Cold Cases, our very good friend who just alerted me to an update. And I believe this is has anyone ever heard of Jake Johns? Someone remind me who Jake Johns, if that name is familiar to you. He is a witness this morning. If anyone remembers who that is, call it out.
You've had other keyboard options the whole time?
I didn't know it. I forgot. I found it. I thought that this one was like dead and gone. Hi, DB. Nice to hear your voice. But it's like not as good. It's like not cute and like Apple brand, you know? Why can't I log in? Productions X. What is my login? Oh, there we go. Now I'm in. I had cap lock. I'm not used to this keyboard. I had caps lock on. That is probably infuriating for DB, who's watched me struggle for like 4 months with this fucking keyboard. Okay, let's switch gears really quick to, we've got some new sketches, but what I wanted to pull up was Bob. Bob just gave in courtroom updates and said, testimony of 2 witnesses so far. Here's a link to the thread that I'm reading. If anyone is interested in following Bob on Twitter, he's giving updates. Fair. I probably would have too. Bob says, day 2, testimony. 2 witnesses, state investigator and former Delphi police chief Steve Mullins, showed the jury where Abby and Libby's bodies were found on a huge aerial map. Oh, good. So we're using just paper maps. Cool. Jurors also saw more drone video of the area. That's good. I don't know who any of the, well, I know who that is, obviously. That looks like Bob, maybe? I don't know who these people are. Digging the jacket, though. Damn. I like it. Next up, Delphi resident Jake Johns testified about searching for the missing girls and finding Libby's tie-dye shirt in Deer Creek. Jurors have been asking questions this morning about the crime scene. Short break. I wonder what questions they've been asking. That would be nice to know. Wouldn't it? So Jake Johns talks about finding the tie-dyed shirt, which I imagine means that he found the tie-dyed shirt. Yeah. Well, Andrea made me laugh last night. She said that the state, like the first time she actually saw, okay, cool. Thank you, Artsy Fartsy Designs. Jake Johns was reported to have found them. Okay. Andrea was saying the state basically brought an exhibit of the bridge that was like 6 feet by like something crazy. And she was, at one point she was talking about like the platforms on the side of the bridge. And she was like, they were probably about as big as the state's exhibit that they tried to present. They're never going to let me on a jury. Why? I mean, like, I feel like the people in this chat, like, are the people that I would hope would be on a jury, where we ask a lot of questions. We don't take anything. We don't believe anything we're told. Wait, what? Hi, Mandy. Hi, Murky Piglet. Wait, what? DB had a wait, what? This is more family members of Courtroom. Okay, let's see. I don't hate, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't hate these sketches, especially if they're going to pump them out early, like quickly. I think they're good. If I were the artist, I'd be so upset if people were clowning on me. Like, she's literally a caricature artist. That's what she does, or he or she. That's what they do. I think they're good. I'd rather have video and photography, but I mean, I don't think these are bad. I really don't. So this is the family, left to right, first 3 people. Mike and Becky here. Like that literally looks like, I mean, that doesn't look like Mike, but that looks like Becky. That looks like Derek. This is Libby's sister, Kelsey, pointing to a map they brought in. This is the map. I think, look how fucking big this is. It's just a picture of the bridge. This appears to be Anna Williams. Anna breaks my heart. Oh my God. Yeah. If that's your demographic, you'd be their nightmare. We would petition to get you on the jury though. Stacy. Beavis and Butthead still drawing. Yeah, it's like cartoon. I heard 2 jury questions last night and I wrote them down. And I know that we're very ADHD this weekend, so I apologize. This morning, doing our best. Jury question number 1. And I'll send these. Is it common for people walking the trail to stop at the high bridge and then turn around? That was the first jury question. The second jury question was, is there a trail that goes down to the creek instead of going up to the bridge? And I imagine they meant like on the trail system. Like, can you get to the creek on any of the trails? And I think the answer is no. But those were the 2 questions they asked at the end. They only asked 2 yesterday. A caricature is not a photograph. More family. So I don't know. More family. Is this Rick's family? Probably. This looks like Brad, doesn't it? Brad and Rick. Purple shirt, Rick. Blue shirt, Brad. I mean, I think I'm saying, I'm going to go out. I'm going to be, from the private drive. Okay. Hi, Carly. It's ridiculous that we have to look at cartoon pictures. I totally agree. Like, I absolutely agree that this is absurd. And I don't think that we should accept table scraps and call it a day. Like, I do believe that this is absurd. But I also think courtroom sketch artists are like really cool. I would like us to have both, to be honest. I'm not sure what the answer was, Jenny. That's a good question. We heard the questions, but I don't know if we got answers yet. And I don't know how Judge Gull is going to like handle jury questions, like if they're allowed to answer right then, if the witness is the one that answers. Like, I'm not sure how that unfolds because we can't fucking see it. Muted, sorry. I bet if you polled the jury, they would probably want to see the crime scene or the area, especially because they're talking. It is really confusing. Like, even like lawyer Lee and Andrea, when they were first really like getting into it, like they had a lot of questions too about just the landscape and the area. Carly here in Buffalo, fellow New Yorker. Allowing jury questions has been the one great decision Gull has made this whole time. I agree that it's interesting that they get to, well, I mean, so I'm using the context I have is like the Letitia Stout case with Judge Warner, and that was 2022 or 2023 in Colorado. So they do things differently, obviously, but jury questions were like written down and then like given to the judge, and then the defense and the state would go like sidebar with the judge. And well, DB, but they also have statutory rights to other things, and she doesn't give a fuck. But I agree with you. Gull is dope. They're gonna have a million questions like the rest of us. Yeah. I do a little behavioral. I'm writing a paper about predicting fraud right now. My only publications now are in education economics. I haven't even graduated yet. Oh my gosh. If you ever want to share with us what you're working on or anything you publish, we love to plug the work and creations of the people that we love. So I would love to see that. Was it determined that the phone was Derek's old phone? I don't know if they talked about who like Libby's phone belonged to. Like, I'm not sure. Sham says, I remember the Aurora movie theater shooter trial had questions that the jury could ask. And that was also Colorado. It was the first I'd seen it. Yeah. Yeah, the jury so far has seemed like, I don't know, the questions that they asked made a lot of sense to me. Nope. So Kit is giving us sketches. Bob gave us the 2 witness names. And that looks like the only updates we've got so far. I imagine most people... Oh, that was literally me. I imagine most people are not going to leave for a break or anything. Where's Bob? Is he not on my notification list? Okay, I guess that's our only update. Thank you, Hoosier, for sending that. Retweet. Retweet. Sun is up. Line is getting longer. Day 2 of testimony. Shorter days, 9 to 12. That's crazy. Okay, I want to go back to this. So, so Kelsey got them on the back of the car, changing story. So Kelsey, I'm not going to go through everything Kelsey, like the witness testimony. But so third witness yesterday in the afternoon was Derek Williams. It's the father of Libby German. Who all got in this morning? So we know that Lawyer Lee, I believe, got in. Ali Mata got in, which I'm really excited about because I really like Ali's legal analysis and I really like Ali's spunky little attitude a lot. And I just am excited to hear what she says. Who else got in? If anyone else knows anyone else that got in, let me know. Oh, wait, I think our friend TT got in. Did I hear you say that, DB? Team Allie. Hi, Davy Crockett's ghost. No TT, damn. Okay, well, that's great. Hi, Veronica. Good morning. Good to see you. Has Carrie got to go yet? So somebody asked, one of the Facebook Huns was asked yesterday on was Carrie there? And she was like, I'm not sure. There were so many people there. Like, it'd be nice to get an answer. I hope that she was able to get there. I think somebody mentioned yesterday that she was able to get there in the afternoon, but I'm not sure for 100%, but I hope so. I wish we could see the testimony. Yeah, me too. Or hear it. I'll settle for either at this point, but I'd like to see it. Not a dumb question. Joe McFarlane asks, dumb question maybe. Do jurors have access to the internet on their off time? Not a stupid question. They do not. They are completely sequestered, which means they have surrendered their cell phones. They're not allowed to access the internet freely. I don't know, DB. This is a great question. They can only talk to their family. I think I forget the rules, but basically they are going to be totally supervised and monitored by bailiffs anytime they are interacting with the outside world, and they can't do phones, TV, internet. I imagine they'll have to entertain them somehow, but it's not. No, I hope that she feels welcome. They can only talk to friends and family with a bailiff with an earshot. So kind of like Rick Allen's last 2 years in DOC. Don't worry, they let them go home after they were selected for a few days. This is true. Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know that I really paid much attention to federal trials until I don't know the first one, but I continue to be shocked at how outdated the public access rules are for federal trials. I guess I understand, but yeah, audio seems like it should be a non-negotiable. Veronica, when Carrie goes to court, she sits on defense side. That's interesting. Kokomo says they do get to play Twister every day. Carrie and Anna. So this is Libby's bio mom and Abby's bio mom. I don't know. I said Abby's bio mom. Carrie is Libby's mom. Anna is Abby's mom. Get treated like shit, really. They take law enforcement because they don't, you mean? Carrie and Anna, from what I've seen, Gilletta, kind of have questioned and have been less willing to just accept, law enforcement's what they're told and how it's been handled. But right, considering how she's been made to feel. Right. Did Allie get Bob's defense? I don't know. Hot Pocket, welcome. Every time I see Hot Pocket in the chat, I get really hungry. And I don't even eat. I don't even think I've ever had a Hot Pocket. I've had a pizza roll. I don't think I've ever had a Hot Pocket. Andrea or Lawyer Lee said last night that the jurors are allowed to watch movies, but they are monitored. That makes sense. Kayla, welcome, Kayla. Good to see you. Julie and Carrie's sister, good. Yeah. It's important. I hope that she has a lot of support. I hope that they all have a lot of support, honestly. I hate that they have to travel and be there in person all day, every day. It's just fucking stupid. They don't. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Young Black economist. I don't trust these people. The entire American legal system trying to hide from the inevitable reckoning that will soon come and just smash everything apart. We love a reckoning around here. How long will it be before the jury eyeballs goals, attitude, and bias? I don't know. I do know that like most judges are able to ham it up and cater to the jury, but like Judge Gold doesn't seem to really be able to quell her disdain for the defense so far. And even yesterday, I guess Andrea said she kind of like pursed her lips and got annoyed with the state at one point. So I don't know. Who are the bailiffs? I don't know. Kristen, I have to feed my horses in 15 minutes. Awesome. Love that. Hot pocket. Has there been more gull fuckery today? Not yet, Gilletta. Our only update so far has come from is it Bob Siegel or Bob Segal? Bob says that day 2 from witnesses so far, we've had 2 witnesses, Steve Mullen, or Mullins, as the prosecutor would say, showed the jury a map where the girls were found on a huge aerial map showing the bridge trails, and the jurors also saw more drone footage of the area. I would love to see the fucking drone footage. Like, this is the whole fucking shit. Like, this is the stuff that, like, I would really like to see that. There's no reason that the public... Anyway. Next witness this morning was resident Jake Johns, who testified about searching for the missing girls and then finding Libby's tie-dyed shirt in Deer Creek. Jurors have been asking questions this morning about the crime scene. Interesting. Witness number 5. Okay, so back to yesterday. So we had the family up first yesterday. We had Becky Patty, who's Libby's grandmother, Kelsey German Siebert, who's Libby's sister, Derek German, who is Libby's father, and the 4th witness was Anna Williams, who is Abby's mother. The 5th witness and final witness yesterday was Deputy Mitchell Catrone, who was witness number 5 was a last-ditch effort to fill time because the state ended early. And yeah, Judge Gold got pissed at them that they didn't have another witness lined up. So Mitch Catrone, I believe, was one of, if not but one of the law enforcement first responders that found the girls or responded to the girls. I think the searchers found the girls and he was the first police officer that responded. I bet he's using Greg Hicks. I was thinking about that earlier. How much of the state's like theory that they put forth is going to be from Greg Hughes? Is Judge Gold ever in a good mood? She is when she's walking into the courthouse with the EMA director. The big talk in the jury chats will be, can one person have possibly done all this? I don't know. WTHR. Becky said there was a sleepover at her house the night before. Kept calling and calling the next day. She didn't realize the girls were dead until the coroner van drove by. And then, yeah, that was really hard to listen to. This is about Rick Allen's confessions. He had a mental health crisis while in DOC. The defense talked about the state police botching the investigation. And there was a tussle with the FBI internally between local investigation and federal investigation. Defense claims that the hair was related to relative of Libby. The girls may have gone down the access road and were taken elsewhere and then brought back to the scene 12 hours later. Security video footage will show Rick's car leaving the area of the Monon High Bridge before the murders occurred. I don't know what that one means. This is from Andrea's video. 4 media, were banned yesterday for pointing their cameras in the direction of where the jury will enter. Outstanding writer and journalist Alex Abel did a new Logansport Press. Everyone click that link and read it. That was a really short update. I wonder, they're on a short break, so that must be a short break. Day 2. All right. Nothing. So as of 7 a.m. Okay, so there's 24 public seats available in the courtroom, apparently. Gall announces the press were booted. Lie. She wants Rick to, okay. So Judge Gull made a comment about how Rick deserves a fair trial out away from the nonsense or whatever of the circus nonsense, whatever of the media. So I want to know, is she going to rule on William Tobin today? Has anybody checked the CCS in the off chance that she did issue something, which I'm sure she didn't yet, but. Nothing yet. So no order or ruling yet on whether defense expert William Tobin will be allowed to testify as a witness for the defense. Judge Gold said that she was going over materials at 2 a.m. and thought she better get some rest. Okay, Judge Gold. Moment of silence for the real victim here. Wait. Ah. Is someone tweeting that article? Which article, Fiend? Seems like testing 10 to 15 relatives wouldn't take 7 years. Yeah, it seems like they didn't test any of them, right? Oh, right. Fun thing, the docu's not updated on Saturdays. Good reminder. Thank you. Taking it, Judge Cole. Keep working. Oh, yes. I get a lot of really good info from that. And I'm going to put his... This is Matt, MB. I linked you. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up. Right. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I'm going to turn my Bob Siegel notifications on. I thought I had. Okay. Jury. The jury was read the preliminary instructions yesterday. If evidence is susceptible to both, you must give the benefit of the doubt to the defendant. If you find insufficient evidence to convict, you must. This is something Andrea said last night that she appreciated, is that in Indiana, some of the wording surrounding jury instruction is a little bit different, but not necessarily bad. It's nice. It's comforting that they're using words like you must vote not guilty if there's insufficient evidence, and if beyond a reasonable doubt you may vote guilty. Yeah, I hope that made sense. I'm attempt to fit evidence. So there's no transcripts provided to the jury, so they take notes, obviously, throughout the proceedings. They're allowed to ask questions. So after the attorney finishes with, I imagine, direct or cross-exam, the jurors are allowed to raise their hand, write down their question, pass it to the bench, and gull and parties. So I imagine that this means that gull and the defense and the state discuss together if it can be asked. And then they ask. So it sounds like it's similar to what I've seen in. If we have time, can we go over what the witnesses for today have said in the past? Yeah. Yeah. Do we know who the witnesses are today? I know we got Jake Johns and Mullen. Jurors are going to get Logan Paul, DB. Where was the Lunchable debacle you were telling me about? Who was it? I don't remember. We talked about a Lunchable debacle recently. Nick could not get the video to work yesterday. Mr. Beast, the Mr. Beast Lunchable fiasco. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, DB. They also had Steve Mullen testify. Yeah, and it sounds like his must have been short. He testified to just where the girls were found on a big ol' map. The state definitely has issues with technology, which is weird because they have a $75,000 podium. All right. So these are more notes from state. Libby was sitting in the front seat when the girls were dropped off at the trails that day. Abby was in the back seat of Kelsey's car. They were dropped off at the Mears lot. Abigail did not have a phone, but Libby did. Fluffy Bunny says, I believe that Jake Johns was a friend of Libby's granddad's, Brad Pepper, I think. I remember hearing in a podcast that he saw it in a stream and zoomed in. Oh, so Jake Johns is apparently the individual who saw the clothes in the creek on his phone. Or no, he saw the deer. I forget what the story was originally. That might be good to revisit later, but that's interesting. Yeah, so that he must have been, so then he was on the other side of the creek. I am very interested to hear his details of his testimony this morning. Because I don't know if y'all remember, I read that order that Diener issued in March 2017, where he basically, maybe I'll read it. Actually, it might be good to read again. But he basically seals all information about how the girls were found, who found them, where they were found, like really odd kind of specific things that he sealed in relation to the discovery of the bodies. So it's something we don't have a whole lot of like confirmed information about. I agree. Confirming that Abby did not have a phone puts a lot more weight to the other phones that were there. I'm just like, how are they going to explain these other phones that were apparently in the area at the exact time that the state's, they're not, I mean, they could have pivoted, they could have changed their timeline. They're sticking to this. It was all over by 3:30 timeline. And it's like, okay, but there's 3 cell phones in the area at the time. And none of them are Rick's. So WTF. So I played that clip at the beginning. I want to just play that short clip again because it looks like I'm not going to play the whole thing though because it's long. I just want to play that really short Andrea Burkhart clip that I played in the intro because they talk about, well, something is mentioned that was interesting to me. So here.
Abby and Libby were best friends. They were more like sisters than friends. Abby didn't have a phone. Only Libby had a phone, but she had set Abby's fingerprint to be able to use Libby's phone.
Bullshit.
So what do you think is important about that clip?
So that statement about they were so close that Abby's fingerprint unlocked Libby's phone, to me sounds like trying to get ahead of a problem, the state, because that came from the state's opening statement.
Yeah.
That's trying to get ahead of a problem. Because
what is the problem they're trying to get ahead of?
The problem is that Libby's phone was accessed and unlocked. It's just a very odd thing to put in an opening statement because you're trying to imprint, I'm going to use his word, you're trying to imprint that onto the jury. You want trying to condition the jury to like think about, to remember that, but like, why not just give her the passcode? Why would they need her? It just, to me, it seems like they can't account for, they can't explain away something to do with how Libby's phone was unlocked. It's like putting a sweatshirt in the wash to explain how a hair got on the finger. It just, to me, it feels like they're just getting ahead of a problem. That's all. It's just weird. I think that they're gearing up
to do a gaslight.
Because why would you put that in? You've got 13 minutes for an opening statement and you find it important or necessary to include that, oh, by the way, we're trying to suppress all of the cell phone data. We're also trying to discredit the defense's claim about the phone being accessed in the middle of the night or like in the early morning. The prosecutor decides to open his case, his 13-minute opening. He's talking about unlocking a phone. It doesn't make any sense. I don't even have a theory of the crime anymore. I really don't. Like, I have no theory of the crime. I just know that Rick didn't do it. That's all I know. But that, when Andrea like read that off of, because she read that verbatim from her notes from Nick's opening statement, as soon as she said that, it was like, just like fucking red flags. Like, that's getting ahead of something. How would they know that? How would they know that? Would they know that because somebody used Abby's finger to unlock Libby's phone? Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. That's my spiel. I'm concerned.
Yeah, because you could see that like fingerprint 2 unlocked the phone and knowledge C. Probably.
Something like that.
Probably.
So I know I played that already, but I just wanted to. Anyway. Back to this. So the state claims that the girls were so close that Abby's fingerprint could unlock Libby's phone. They programmed it that way. Libby was on her phone while posting on Snapchat during the morning. So while the girls are on the bridge, according to the state, this is the state explaining what happened that morning or that afternoon. Libby was walking on the bridge. She was leading them. She was the first one, and Abby was behind her. And at some point, Libby looked back behind her and saw that a man was following Abby and had a bad feeling and began to film him. And that was at 2:13 p.m. And that is when we get the. I've never heard this before, DB. If anybody else has ever heard that Abby and Libby shared a phone, please speak up and let us know, because I've never heard this before. This was that was the first time I'd ever heard that alleged by anybody, was yesterday. So I would love to know if that's ever been stated before. I think the only thing that we may have heard was that Abby was given like an old iPad or something, an old Kindle or an old iPad to use of like Libby's or something, but like that's a totally different thing. Yeah, Hoosier says he's never heard that before. Milan says they've never heard that before. Kelsey had access to Libby's phone apps. She reached out. Right, we knew that, but never heard before that that they shared phone access, or that Abby could access Libby's phone. DB says, well, surely it has to be in a deposition. If this is the first record of it ever being, of her ever saying that, I have serious questions. How did she know but never said it? Did that come? I don't know. Well, did that come up during Kelsey's? Or was that just stated by Nick McClellan in his opening? Because I think that I heard of it in Nick's opening, and I don't know that he specified where that information is coming from. And DB heard it was Kelsey's testimony. Okay, that's, if anyone can find a source for this, I believe you, DB, but I'd like a source on that. And DB asks, how did Kelsey access? So Kelsey claims she didn't access the phone, but she had Libby's logins. So she was able to log into her apps and see, I guess. I have questions about this too. I don't know. She was able to log in, I guess. Yeah, I don't think we knew that they took a selfie in the car unless it's I know there's a selfie of the girls in a car, but it sounds like this was a new photo. Right. It's just strange that this would have never been brought up by anybody in the course of 7 years, given how much they talk about everything. This is a good question. And DB asked, was there any failed access attempts or fingerprint access attempts after the recovery of? Say more, DB. Failed attempts to act after post-recovery of the bodies, or of the phone, you mean? So would this be something that Knowledge C could potentially shed some light on? After the bodies were, yeah, I don't know. That would be very interesting to know. Or failed login attempts after the time, yes, and were there any failed access or failed login attempts after the time that the state claims that the girls were dead? If it's something important to the case, law enforcement might ask her not to say it publicly. Fair. Knowledge C would be helpful. Marianne asks, was there... Don't they talk... So remember, this is totally speculation. I'm like really spiraling now. But you know all that talk we've heard about like fingerprints and who's all fingerprints and a partial print found? Like maybe there were prints on Libby's, like Abby's prints were on Libby. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about why. I don't know. I believe that she had a 5 or 6C, because I remember when this happened, I was like, oh, that's the same phone I have. Yeah. Or S. Yes. Thank you. 6S. iPhone 6. This is a good, I think this is true. Turning the phone on at 4:30 was a beacon. Yeah, I don't. So the staging, if I'm to believe that the girls were moved and then staged, and that the phone was accessed, you know, at that time of morning, I could see that suggesting that the staging and everything was done. I did have a 5C. It was yellow. I had it forever. It was cute. Human hands accessed the phone. Yeah, Andrea said human hands accessed the phone after the time. Yeah. Hi, Ivy Vines. Welcome. Just want to say hi. Joining late, listening 1.25. I'm so sorry. For people that listen to me, like, sped up. So sorry. I thought I read a few years back there was a partial fingerprint on a tree of a thumb. I've heard a lot. I know I've definitely heard about fingerprints. I've never heard it was on a tree, but yeah, I mean, that sounds feasible. Defense said that human interaction was shown in the phone. And Andrew's live somewhere, I think maybe it will claim it was Abby's finger. Yeah, maybe. Because the wind blew. Young Black economist. Touch ID has been available since iPhone 5S. Well, that makes sense. Veronica says they didn't test the hairs that were in Abby's hand, so I'm curious what they decided to actually test. That's a good question. All right, I'm going to keep moving. Oh my goodness. So we go into like what the witnesses said. How do we know there was no SA if they didn't test the hair? I think that DB says this is a thing. They're for sure getting ahead of something. Yes. I love when DB pats me on the back. Captain, so I guess we'll hear more about that. But I know that like a medical examiner or pathologist, you know, the autopsy, the doctor that does the autopsy, pathologist, there are ways to tell if a sexual assault or rape occurred with pretty good certainty. I mean, obviously there's all that, the definition of SA is very broad, and as it should be, but they would definitely check for SA through, they would do rape kits, they would look for DNA on the girls' bodies. Oh, it's a big deal. They would look for, you know, any kind of foreign DNA. We would hope, like there are ways to tell if they were. We don't have a time of death, Milan, that we know of. Nope. The state has a theory based on no evidence. This is a guess, and their time of death is based on the cell phone. their really bad interpretation of cell phone data versus anything that, I don't think they have a time of death that we've heard of. The defense actually outright in the Frank's memo, I think, said like they have no idea. So that's upsetting. I'm expecting the pathologist to have an opinion regarding banana pancakes. Yeah, we've heard that. We've heard that a lot about the breakfast that the girls ate that morning. And I think Judge Jessica's, what Judge Jessica is getting at is that looking at like stomach contents of deceased victims sometimes can help kind of shine a light on possible, or like time of death, you know, can help determine time of death depending on like the biological processes of digestion and all of that. So that would be very interesting as well. Dr. NB says that $20,000 spent is a real bee in my bonnet regarding DNA testing if it's not for the hair. Yeah, I have questions. I think they mean if they were not forensically sophisticated enough to know to test the hair, do we trust their judgment on essay evidence? That's a great point. Yeah, anything that they ate that day hopefully could help determine time of death if, you know, if that was an avenue of testing that was pursued. I imagine this Dr. Kaur is who did the examination of the autopsies, and he's a very well-renowned pathologist. I don't ever think I've heard anything bad about Dr. Kaur. So like at the very least, it sounds like they got a really good pathologist. But but there's also a lot of questions about like the coroner, what was done at the scene immediately to determine how the bodies were transported, how they were, and you know, not to be crass and trigger warning, but like how the bodies were transported, how they were stored. I just think that we'll probably learn more about that. But Captain America says that a root on a hair equals hair yanked out. It certainly suggests it could point to that. I don't know much about this topic, but yeah, having roots attached to hair or hairs, I have questions. Killer was a woman gangbanger. Nothing would surprise me at this point. She was working with a man like Bonnie and Clyde. I could see it. It was either test the hair or buy a new podium. Guess which one? Yeah. So the family, Melissa, you're right. The family has talked about providing DNA. And I think what we heard yesterday was that the family did provide DNA multiple times over the years, but law enforcement just never did anything with it. Is how I understood yesterday, the testimony we heard about from yesterday, is that like multiple times DNA was collected from family members, but law enforcement either like lost it or like just decided not to test it, didn't want to spend the money on it. I have no idea, but it just doesn't make any sense. Strip club lappies. Kate makes a good point too. Pancakes won't last long in your stomach. Yeah, so the digestion might be fast, so maybe it wouldn't help, you know. I think we've talked about this before on the channel. We went into like a bit of a rabbit hole about carbohydrates and protein and digestion, and we were all just kind of shooting in the dark, I think, about how useful that would be in determining a time of death. But yeah, I'm really interested. Females are always welcome to Vinlander's parties. Yep, coroner signs the death certificate. But doesn't the coroner also do things like take the core body temperature? And I think important steps are important processes hopefully should occur at the scene where the bodies are before they're transported, if I'm not mistaken. Hair being wrapped around a finger. Did he say entangled or like? We've heard, so I think Andy's direct quote was hairs. This is for what it's worth. Local talk as well. She had hairs in her hand, more than one strand. Rex, a big question. If the phone was turned on as a beacon, why? What murderer would want the bodies found? Yeah. I think that like my thought right now is I don't know. I'm so confused, but I do believe that the phone is really important both to the murderers and the case against Rick and the case to exonerate Rick. Like the phone has so much meaning behind it. What's on the phone, how the phone was found, how the phone was staged by the killer or killers under a shoe, under a victim. Like they wanted so I believe that when the scene was staged and when the killer or killers finished what they were doing with the girls, and were satisfied with their work or staging or whatever. I just happened to, I could see the killer kind of staging the clothes in the creek, almost like, I think of it like breadcrumbs. Killers do this sometimes. They'll help lead law enforcement or searchers to they want the bodies to be found for a multitude of reasons, whether it's personal enjoyment, whether it's to alleviate anxiety, whether it's to frame another person, whether it's just, I don't know. A lot of times, I mean, we hear of that happening where killers will set it up so that the bodies are found. And I could see that happening here, where, okay, now that the scene is done, now that we're all done, now we can like scatter the clothes in the creek, and we can turn the phone back on and put it underneath the victim. Like there's just like so much bizarreness to this based on what we know so far. They should have taken their body temperature at the crime scene. Yes, Kate. And I've heard that they didn't, but I don't know. Maybe they did. Interested why pancakes is a cornerstone of the narrative. I don't know. It could be. I could see this two ways. Hi, Angela. Hi, Dr. Vonda. Do you know if Ron Logan owned a gun like Richard Allen? I know that Ron Logan 100% owned 40 caliber firearms. That's all I know. I've heard so many rumors over the years about, well, they didn't find any ammunition for his guns. Well, they didn't find, he owned them, but they didn't seize them. I have no idea. I just know that he did, in fact, have 40 calibers. I don't know what kind, whether they tested them. No idea. But he was an avid gun collector. He would buy and sell them. He would buy them and I don't know. I don't want to say tinker, but like fix them or build whatever, sell. So I don't know. But yes, he did own 40 caliber guns. Staging is all about finding the bodies. Bananas are in the brat diet. They provide some anti-motility. I doubt they got a whole banana each in pancake form, but maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so staging has a lot. Staging is a really interesting. Okay, so we've heard about undoing. DB's like his head's gonna pop off of his neck. But so the state is in the hearings in July and August of this year, they were talking about undoing, which is rich considering they kicked the FBI off. You'd think they'd want the FBI to speak to that. But the state's theory is that the killer Rick Allen felt remorse. So he tried to cover the bodies with sticks and redress. Sure, sometimes killers feel remorse after the fact, whether it's subconscious or overt, or regret for what they did, not necessarily emotion, out of a moral standpoint, but just regret for multitude of reasons. They might cover a victim with a blanket. They might put clothes back on a victim because they feel shame for what they did. They don't want the victim to be found nude because what does that say about me? All kinds of reasons for undoing, which is basically the act of covering up, separating yourself from the victim in a way. But that's not staging. I think we have a definition problem here. We do hear law enforcement saying that killers lead them to their victim's body. Are you trying to say that doesn't happen, DB? It's not even noon yet. We know that happens. That has happened. That killers do leave, or they'll leave clues for the bodies to be found, But yeah, I'm not at all saying that that's necessarily what happened here, but it does seem like the clothes were not in the creek during the search the night before, and they were in the creek the next morning. The girl's phone was not, Libby's phone was probably not there or functioning, whatever, at the time the girls were missing, and it was the next morning. So it's at some point these things occurred, and these are the things that led them to the body. So it's I'm kind of on a ramble, but what did DB say? The motive was, Mad King of Kings says, the motive was a punishment and revenge. The method was a sacrifice, in my opinion. Interesting. In my view, says Psych, The hair was pulled out or it wouldn't be in her hand. Also yeah, that makes sense. It was said that the bodies were held in refrigeration trucks. I also heard that, Teresa F. If Ron Logan had 150 firearms, he absolutely had a 40 caliber, right? Sykes says it doesn't sound like they did anything to investigate this crime properly. There should be an inventory from his probation violation. Correct. Yes, you would think that Ron Logan's firearms would all be inventoried and seized. However, they waited. So the murders were the 13th of February. They didn't search his home on his firearm probation violation until March 6th or 8th. So he had weeks to do whatever, get rid of whatever. I'm just saying, potentially he could have. But yes, there should be an inventory. The phone is the key to unlocking the whole mystery. Brad Weber, the private drive homeowner, also had a 40 caliber firearm that he kept in his car, I believe we learned yesterday. And he also, they did test his firearm and they were not able to exclude it. So that means that so that's a problem. Because, and we talked about this at length last night. If anyone missed the live we did last night about junk science and DB's preview of the video he's going to drop, we talk about this a lot, so that might be a good thing to rewatch. But how is the state trying to claim that the bullet casing found at the crime scene is a match, came from Rick Allen's gun, because that implies that it didn't come from any other gun, but they're also saying that they can't exclude Brad Weber's gun. It's really, really fucked up. Veronica is a shedder. Some people shed skin cells and hair more easily than other people. Veronica, I'm a shedder. I don't ever recall getting a hair intertwined or caught in my hand while putting on a sweatshirt. Did Brad Weber arrive on the private drive before the cops were there? I know. Okay. Brad Weber, I believe from what we've heard, got there at 3:30, right? Isn't that what we've heard all these years? Is Ives being called as a witness? Yes, he is. The former prosecutor, Rob Ives. Why did Doug Carter wait so long in allowing the FBI to view the crime scene? Did he? I don't know anything about that, but that's a great question. I don't know. Coroner said a serrated knife, but no weapons found. So now, did the coroner say that? Now, because Rick worked at CVS, he's saying, he meaning Nick saying, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of silly stuff about this box cutter. Yeah. Holman apparently searched a CVS dumpster 7 years after. People are going to say that Rick Allen inserted himself into the investigation. Of course they are. Yep. Phone had to be manipulated off-site. Do we think that the defense will stress on the fact that the clothing was not there during the search? Oh, yeah. I think that's why. I think Daryl Starrett, who was a fire chief, right? He was searching literally right on the opposite side of the creek, right where the clothes would have been in the water the night before with flashlights. And I mean, I think that he'll be an integral witness for what he did or didn't see. So in the Ron Logan PCA, the FBI agent Nicole Robertson states that the girl's clothing was recovered with the exception of one sock and a pair of underwear. And we didn't hear anything about that today, so that's interesting. The sticks were said to cover certain areas. It was an act of mercy to cover them up. But yeah, this is the state's theory. Weber had a Sig Sauer. Interesting. I hope the defense did their own tests as far as what you could see from the bridge, etc. Like they should have put a tie-dye in the same place. Gina Baudette, the good Baudette, says Ron Logan disassembled a shed before his home and outbuildings. A shed? Would someone also refer to it as a shack? Not a casing. I'm behind, so I'm like, I have no context for some of these chats. I'm sorry. IgG takes weeks, if not months. The IgG was probably not the actual DNA testing. Bree asks, is Ives a state or defense witness? I think probably both. I can't see the state not calling him, but I know that he's definitely listed on the defense witness list. But I would imagine he's probably both. The scanner audio talks about keeping the FBI away from the scene. Lord. Ives is testifying for the defense. If clothing of a victim was found buried in Rick's backyard had been found, wouldn't that have to be listed in what police found during the search? Family tells me that happened. What family? I'm not laughing at you, George. I'm just laughing at the premise of clothes being found buried in Rick Allen's yard. Sounds pretty shady of law enforcement to not allow the FBI in. Okay, let me catch up. I'm sorry. In 2021, Doug Carter kicked the FBI off the case. Once the FBI was bounced, the Department of Justice should have opened an investigation into Carroll County, Nick's office, Delphi PD, and Jerry Hillman. Wouldn't that have been nice? Oh, yeah, keep them at bay. They're talking about the FBI? It's sus. Murky Piglet says a box cutter would have been indicative of a razor blade, clean cut, not a regular knife and serrated. Right, and so now, okay, this is going to be graphic, so trigger warning, y'all. But I find it interesting that the state is now referring to the girl's fatal wounds to their neck as their throats were slit. Because my understanding is that these were not clean, these were more like punk cuts, is what we've always heard. But now we're just hearing different words. We're hearing things that are standing out to me as like strategic and intentional, if that makes sense to anybody. I have to like gather my thoughts a little bit better to probably properly express what I'm thinking. But like just some of the things in the state's opening are really kind of highlighting the route that the presentation of the state is going to kind of look like. And I work with one of Libby's cousins. She said the family is convinced that he's guilty. And part of why is because there were clothes found. Yeah, that's sad. If the family was told that, that's sad. If the family believes that, that's sad. If the family is telling people that, that's improper. Because that's just simply not the case. Andrea said that Abby was wearing her own underwear. Okay. Adjusted. Yeah, we got some. Right. Hi, Steve. We're just kind of recapping yesterday. MB says, I wonder if the cigarette butt was ever tested. Yeah, we definitely hear about a cigarette butt on the scanner. I think law enforcement and prosecution has lied, or at least strongly implied a lot. Yeah. I think that DB was talking about your comment about the DOJ coming in to investigate the sheriff's department, if I'm not mistaken. FBI doesn't get involved because of states' rights. And states and FBI have turf wars. We have this system called federalism. And oh, right. Puncture versus jab versus slit. Yeah. All right. Let me check Twitter. I think Donnie tweeted. I don't think they're quite out yet, but I do think that I got a notification from Donnie. Why bury clothes when you can burn them? Yeah, young black economist is my new best friend. Love it. It does sound like Libby put up a fight with how many cuts. Yeah, so Libby had 3, I believe, and Abby was 1, if I'm remembering correctly from the hearings over the summer. The timeline. I wouldn't doubt that law enforcement, Doug Carter, Tobe Leesenby say something about finding clothes to distract the families from all the fuckery, the foo-fuckery mistakes, mislead them some way to give them hope so that they're vocal on his guilt. It sucks. That's really gross if that's happening. Just a thought. Mandy Madong says, if they never tested a goddamn hair in a victim's hand, they didn't test one Siggy butt. Oops, what's this? Let's do a PowerPoint. Is it okay if I share this? I figured I can, right? Can I say who made it, DB? Does anyone know if any members of Libby or Abby's family previously knew Rick in any capacity except as CBS? So they've all stated they don't, or they haven't. There were no girls' clothes listed on the search warrant return. If Abby saw what happened to Libby, why fight back? Thank you for making it perfect. Okay. Our researcher, Peggy O, made a PowerPoint. Indiana Rules of Court. How do I slideshow? Nice. Providing public access benefits the public and the court. Rule number 1, scope and purpose. Contribute to public safety, protect individual due process rights and privacy interests, minimize the risk of injury to other individuals, promote accessibility to court records, promote governmental accountability and transparency, protect proprietary business information, and make the most effective use of court and clerk of court staff. Peggy did a slide. Here's opening statements, notes. It's all from Andrea. I can't anymore with the mainstream media. Oh. Thank you, Sleuthy Goosey. Okay, page 1. Who has access under the general rule? All persons has access. All persons have access to court records as provided in this rule. Subsection A provides the general rule that all persons, including members of the general public and the media and commercial and non-commercial entities, are entitled to the same basic level of access to court records. So the media then doesn't have special privileges and special access and blah, blah, blah. Audio recordings and exhibits are case records. Rule number 3 definitions. B, case record means any document, any information, any data, or any other item created, collected, received, or maintained by a court, court agency, or clerk of court in connection with a particular case. Yeah, so audio recordings certainly would fall under that category. The definition of case record is medium neutral and access neutral. It's intended to apply to every case record, regardless of the manner in which it was created, the form or forms in which it is stored, or other forms in which the information may exist. So that would be like a transcript, an audio recording. A court record is accessible to the public except as provided in Rule 5. This rule applies to all court records, regardless of the manner of creation, method of collection, form of storage. If a court record or portion is excluded from public access, there shall be a publicly accessible indication of the fact of exclusion, but not the content. So like they have to, the public has to know why something was excluded. This does not apply to court proceedings or court administrative records, which are confidential pursuant to law. A court may manage access to audio and video recordings of its proceedings to the extent appropriate to avoid substantial interference with the resources or normal operation of the court and to comply. This provision does not operate to deny any. This provision does not operate to deny any person the right to access a court record. Application of this rule is not affected by the means of storage, manner of presentation, or the form in which information is maintained. Records excluded. Case records excluded from public access pursuant to Rule 5A or by specific court order entered in accordance with G. A court cannot exclude records otherwise accessible just because the parties agree to do so. Actually, Kara Winicky and Maggie, in their one of the writs that was filed last year, they actually address this exact issue. They say just because the parties agree to exclude something for public access does not give them the right to do so. And the reason that Judge Gold's court reporter or court whatever, Jody Williams, The reason that Jody provided to the public when asked why Dr. Wallace's transcript from the public hearing was not being made available, she said by agreement of the parties. And that's not okay. That's not a thing. Can I share this link, DB? Peggy? This is really cool. I really want people to read this. Okay. Just because there's so much misinformation about, like, exactly, Sleuthy. Huh? Exactly. There's so much misinformation about, like, well, the public's not entitled. The public's not entitled. Or, like, Judge Gold was gonna let the public have it, but then the media did a overstep. And it's like, that's not a thing. I'm so tired of hearing that. Did I say DB? I meant Sleuthy. Sorry. I'm moving too fast. Oh, wait. Sorry. I see what you're saying. DB said, I didn't agree to, yeah, because the public is a party, right? So when they say by agreement of the parties, well, DB didn't agree to that, to those being excluded from public access. We didn't agree to that. That's not fair. Okay. So yeah, the court can't, basically, Judge Gold cannot do what Judge Gold is doing per the law. A court has only two ways to exclude otherwise accessible records from public access. They can seal them pursuant to APR rules, or they can enter an order excluding them pursuant to specific. Okay, so there's like very specific parameters as to what and how something can be excluded from public access in extraordinary circumstances. Thank you, Dr. Vonda. That's very, very kind, very generous. I appreciate you. Dr. Vonda says, and thank you, Sleuthy Goosey. You have done so much. I left, what is that? Washington, Wisconsin, Wyoming. I left with all my devices except my phone. I appreciate Ange and want to show her support when I can. I so appreciate you. And we all so appreciate Sleuthy. Everyone save that link, the notes that Sleuthy shared. We will share them too. Media is seemingly demonized. The media is demonized, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, young Black economist. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Sleuthy says, you're too sweet. Yeah, the media is demonized for sure. And then the media in turn demonizes the public. It's like, can we just, like, all just stop? The media is the public. The media represents the public. Okay, I'm going to finish Peggy's awesome slide, and then we're going to pull up Sleuthy's notes. In Indiana Code, consistent with these principles, the General Assembly expressly recognizes Indiana's public policy that all persons are entitled to full and complete information regarding the affairs of government and the official acts of those who represent them as public officials. Where is the discrepancy in this? Like, where is the discrepancy? These are black and white rules. Shell Urba, your chat is the most sane I've been in regarding this case. Thank you for fostering that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your generosity and your contribution. The chat and this community is wonderful because there's just so many wonderful people here. I'm really glad that you're here. It's really that's a nice thing to hear. Any new info? Not yet, Emily, just what's at the bottom. We've got two witnesses that we know of so far, Steve Mullen and Jake Johns, and I don't believe we have any more info than that yet, as of yet. If someone has another update, though, please feel free to share. They're killing me with these court cartoons. Lawyer Lee said that the lack of audio and seeing the exhibits are the two things that kept the public access. Yeah, that disturb her the most. Yep, I believe it. It's crazy. Peggy must have made up these regulations. We need to stop accepting it's the judge's courtroom. No, it's not. It's the public's domain. Unconstitutional speed run. Demonize the media, ignore due process, disregard voting rights for jurors and employees. Yep. Yeah, what about that? She literally told the jurors when they were selected and paneled, either absentee vote or early vote is what she said. You got 24 hours to make it happen. Lord. Sleuthy, if you want to come on, I'm going to show your note, your typed up Andrea notes if you can. If not, I'm going to go through them while we're waiting. Yeah. Yeah, the court has demonized the media and the public, and the media in turn, I think, has demonized each other. You've got media basically turning a blind eye to the fact that 4 or 5 members of the press, legitimate, responsible members of the press trying to report, are being targeted and harassed by the judge and law enforcement. These notes are beautiful, Sleuthy. Oh my gosh. Here are Sleuthy's notes. Yes. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I don't know how you're following all of that. Like, I'm literally to the point where yesterday I was so neurotic yesterday over these multiple articles, like they having the same exact little piece of information, but it was written 5 different ways. Hair versus hairs versus, like, everything was all over the place. And I said yesterday, I can't do this for a month. I can't, and I won't. And what annoyed me the most was, now granted, I only got the opening statements written up, but like, I started late by the time Andrea went live. But like, if we were going to get recordings of the trial, it wouldn't happen likely until the following day anyway. So we'd always be a day behind regardless. And I was like, I'm just gonna, like, I trust Andrea, and I got clarity for everything she said. You know, one of the things that I like is that she will like and don't like is she doesn't pay any attention to the chat the entire time she's reading off her notes. So I don't have to distinguish between like her side conversations about what was happening versus her just looking directly at her notes and reading them off to us. So it was really easy I tried to put this as like bullet pointed as well. And Yellow has a spreadsheet that she's working on. I don't want to start adding to it till I ask her a couple questions, but this is just gonna, if you're looking for anything like newsworthy, up to date from me, like minute by minute as it's happening, don't, because I won't. I'm not refreshing Twitter over and over again. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
It's really not. It's just not. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I suspect that the media will be exhausted too, if they're not already, which I'm sure they have to be, you know? Like,
I mean, that is a lot of notes. That is a lot of notes to be taking every day. I think there's no way I don't know how Andrea, she must have some form of like shorthand that she uses. I have no idea how she would even.
She went through an entire legal pad, she said yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know how she gets everything. But like even the thing about the blades. Well, I only heard Barbara and Andrea say something about the blades, but like all the other news articles didn't say anything about it. And so I just want all the information. I don't want what each reporter thinks is interesting or has a chance to actually write down. I don't think it's accurate as to what is actually, there were things in here that I was like, what? Even this morning, I guess Yellow stopped listening last night. And I tried to finish. I fell asleep and I woke up and had like multiple things written on the document that didn't make any sense. But I said something to her this morning and she was like, what? Like,
about Bridge Guy's mouth.
Yeah. Like, what? Yeah. So if you want to, I did not make my bed when I got out of bed this morning, and I hate that. So I'm going to keep you company while you read. Okay. I don't know if there's like any errors written, like, you know, spelling errors or whatever, or something doesn't make sense.
No, we're just gonna dive in and recap, because these were really, I mean, her live was really very illuminating and helpful. So these are notes from Andrea Burkhart's live recap from last night. And if one of the mods has it handy and can link it, please do. If not, I will in a minute. But let's go through them. So Nick McClelland's opening statement. He wanted to play a video, but it didn't work. So after 5 minutes, he gave up. It was largely a recap of the mini opening they did during voir dire. Nick told the jury a couple days ago that the case is about a bullet, bridge guy, and the brutal murder of 2 girls. Now the jury gets to hear the rest of the story. February 13th, 2017 was an unseasonably warm day. The girls were off school that day. The girls asked Libby's sister Kelsey to go to the bridge, but Kelsey had to work. So she drove the girls to the trail. Libby sat in the front seat, Abby in the back seat. Libby took a selfie of her and Abby in the car on the way to the trails. The photo was shown to the jury. Kelsey dropped the girls off at the Mears parking lot. Abby did not have a phone, but Libby had a phone. Libby's phone was set up so that Abby's fingerprint could unlock Libby's phone. Were you in the, did you hear the clip I played a little bit ago? If not, it's okay. I take issue. This is a thing. We should talk about this.
About the fingerprint thing?
Mm-hmm.
I do too, but others seem to say like, well, they just had it so that Abby could use Libby's phone whenever and didn't have to keep asking her to unlock it. But like, I thought everything was reset and she didn't even like the whole thing about Find My iPhone. Like they were like, she didn't even like reset the Find My iPhone. And I was always like, that's weird because whether you want Find My iPhone or not, if you set it back to factory settings, it's on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
So why would she set up the fingerprint but not? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So are these real quick? Are these Andrea's actual notes, or did you transcribe from her live?
From her live, which she said is her actual note. Like
okay, so as she's reading, you're okay. Just wondering.
There were some parts that were clearly her. Well, maybe only one part. There was like a part where I did mark that it was Andrea's like opinion, not what she was reading from her notes. But overall, the entire thing was her writing down what they were saying.
Right. So we've got, so then this is like basically the best of both worlds. This is her recap of her verbatim notes and her own kind of analysis and thoughts and everything.
Yes.
Apparently Lawyer Lee was prevented from looking at the exhibits yesterday.
Well, it's funny because Andrea told that story about someone that was trying and they weren't part of the media. And the media was like, you can't because only like us media. And I had no idea until I started listening to Lawyer Lee's live. And she was like, I tried to look. And I was like, oh my God, that's who Andrea was talking about. Like, can you imagine?
No.
Who do they think they are?
She's literally a fucking Harvard, like what? Like, and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if it was, I almost said Joe Schmo, but we know a Joe Schmo. It wouldn't matter if it was Lawyer Lee or Bob Siegel or you or me trying to look at them. Like we just read Peggy's PowerPoint that was very clear with all of the Indiana, the specific rules and provisions and everything that has to do with public. Like she's not allowed to do this. But
that encounter with the media where the media stopped her or tried to stop her from looking at those exhibits and then like knowing that she was going to report on them. That to me was all that I needed to know in terms of whether or not they are going to fight to even just get the, like, if they thought they were going to be this exhausted, they would be fighting to get the audio. The 4 people that got kicked out yesterday, they got kicked out like for their network. So they're not pulled by reporter, they're pulled by network. So
the Associated Press is banned from covering the Delphi trial.
And the NBC. So anybody that works there, they're banned. Like those 4 people are banned, but their networks are banned.
That can't be a thing, Sloopsy.
Well,
like that,
I agree.
Like I hear you, but like, what are they going to do about it?
Well, that's what I said. I said to Andrea last night, I said, maybe the people that got banned from the trial today could use their time at this point to go and, I don't know, file a writ, do something else to try to get whatever's going on in there to know what's happening. And I just think that what's going to end up happening is they want to be the only ones to, like, if the public gets recordings of every day of trial, I think that the reporting will be much less. But I think right now they're like banking on the idea that they're the only ones that can report what's happening in there. That means all their ratings will go up because everybody is like desperate to know what's happening, including
really
local.
fucked.
It is fucked.
So what is the okay? So, but like I understand, like the local media benefits basically from Judge Gull's table scraps, and the reason, and Andrew and I talked about this a little bit the other night, like it's outrageous and obscene and unacceptable that they're not fighting back, but it's also not completely like unreasonable because they will lose their access, and I get it, but like, well then take it up the fucking chain and like I don't know. So the Associated Press, if it is in fact true that NBC and the Associated Press have been banned from this trial by Judge Gull for for allegations of misconduct by individuals, which I don't even believe that happened. If those entities don't file something, I'm moving. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't live here anymore.
I agree. That's exactly what I said to her. I said, you would think that there's no excuse at this point for them to not then spend their time that they had blocked off to be able to report on this from going and fighting for the record. Even if they fight for the recordings and then still don't release the recordings, just get them and then start reporting on them. Like, you all aren't even going to do that.
I don't
like,
get
what
it.
are you doing? You're just like, oh, well, you know, and to be honest, if I was one of those 4 that she named that got the boot, and apparently they still haven't got their cameras back and nobody knows if they're going to or not.
She destroyed their work product. She destroyed their work product. Like she had a bunch of fucking goons with guns and badges and tasers and penguin suits destroy their work product. That's based on what? They weren't convicted of anything. Nothing was proven. They were in a public space and they were pointing their cameras at a public area. You can't tell people they can't do that. You erected a barrier so that they're protected from public view. So what more how much more censorship can this woman possibly get away with? Like,
that's my thing. I was like, I thought these tens of thousands of dollars worth of Temu fence the purpose of it was to make sure that, like, no matter what, the jurors and stuff would not be seen. Like, I get it. So
we need a hashtag. Everybody, there's 269 people in here, Giggity. What is the hashtag that we want for them to we want to support and encourage and amplify and lift up the media to file suit? What is our hashtag?
Well, we do have the names specifically of the 4 people that got accused and then booted. I think on top of a hashtag, which I obviously think is a good idea, but on top of that, I would reach out to them.
Yeah, I know that All Eyes stated she had reached out to one of them. Andrea listed them in her live last night, and then I immediately just tweeted out the names. And so we have all 4 names. I'm hearing there's a 5th, but we definitely have all 4. I think we need to support them individually, but I also think that, like, because I'm seeing a lot of tweets where people are voicing their disdain and frustration and concern, and I think we need like a way to streamline and congregate and amplify what the public is saying, because I'm seeing this across the board. Like, this surpasses your stance on guilt or innocence. Like, this is a pretty black and white.
I'll tell you before you get all, because I feel like we get kind of crazy in frustration with the media, and while it's warranted, I just don't think that they give a fuck. So basically, I just want to say that I think that people who are experienced in trials and the law and rules and things like that, I think that they have quickly discovered that this is just not right and are already incredibly irritated with the judge, with how things are going, the rules, and what the media is doing. So while I think that pressure for them to do something wouldn't necessarily hurt, I think we'll probably see some type of effort above and beyond what they've done. And I don't think that it's going to come from them. And I don't want any kind of like mass anger or whatever to be able to be used against, you know what I mean? To be able to use it against, like, in my opinion, one could say, well, the public wouldn't be acting like this if they could just see with their own eyes, or if nothing else, hear with their own ears what is happening instead of relying on everybody. Like, I personally don't see any reason that would be harmful to Richard Allen in any way. The jury's sequestered. There's no reason for it. And I saw DB ask about like who did the cameras. Somebody had like told the story of what happened, and I 100% could see this being what happened. It was the guys or whatever, whoever was all out there doing what they were doing. The one put the camera down, but he obviously had the other one like on his hip, but like nobody intended to take any pictures of anybody. And when they went in after getting off the bus and whatnot, all of a sudden, like law enforcement people came out from behind the Temu fences and went over and confiscated the cameras and brought them inside. And when they did so, I don't think that there was any kind of like due process in the sense that they were looking through the footage to see if that had in fact happened.
No, Alex said that. He said they didn't even check to like, they didn't even check to confirm that I hadn't filmed anything. And had they actually, like, they would have known that, but they literally just deleted everything anyway.
Right.
It's like a punishment. She's fucking crazy.
Like, to be honest, they probably don't even know what all was deleted. Like, I'm sure it wasn't just like whatever was on there is what was deleted. They didn't go in what agency the days, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to know what agency it was that all they say is law enforcement came out from. So one of the things that I've been doing is like when I find out, like, for example, the media was saying, and a deputy was the last witness of the day who talked about, like, name these motherfuckers. Like, why are we not naming these people? We need to know their names. We need to know their agencies. Yeah. That's important. Yep. Like, nobody is saying what law enforcement agency. How about individual officers and badge numbers of who the fuck destroyed your camera and your footage? Why are we not reporting that? Like, you're banned from the trial, but you're not banned from reporting about what was done.
If you took my camera, I can't even imagine the cost of these cameras, number one. Number two, if you took my camera and destroyed my work, which I'm getting paid to do, and destroyed my work without even hearing me out, I want to know the name, like you said, the names and badge numbers and what agency each of the people who approached me. Like, I can't imagine the other reporters that were present outside did not immediately like walk after the police officers as they were walking away with those cameras and ask them these questions. Man, we didn't get very far before we got on that.
That's all right. DB says, I'm shocked they gave up the camera.
Oh, you'd had to drag my whole body behind that camera to get me inside with that.
Yeah, someone, KO says it was a setup. Of course, everything is a setup, just like Court TV and the accidental filming of the hallway was a setup.
Yeah.
Because she never intended for the public to have access to anything except her ambush. That was it. Yeah. That's it. That was always the plan. But Court TV just like did or didn't. I don't even think that they did anything wrong technically, but she basically just looks for an out. And then True Grit. Like, how many people Gritty, how many people is Gull going to slander and lie about as justification for her outrageous conduct? Like, if I were Court TV, I would have already filed something and objected to the way that she's blamed them for something they didn't even do. Gritty, I understand. I think Gritty handled it well. She went on the record with Donnie and she spoke out, like, good, because that was a bullshit story that Gull is still using as her justification for barring public access. And now we have, apparently, if this is the sheriff that did this, we need to find out who, what agency and who this was, because yeah, Court TV has been laying down and taking it for sure. It's crazy.
I'm curious because I'm not quite sure. When they like approached her about her sunglasses or whatever, did they like confiscate them? Did they check her phone, or like did they look for footage? And I do believe they gave them back. So I'm just confused of like when we're going to treat it one way and when we're going to treat it another. Because like if the rule was the same for everybody, they would have like destroyed her glasses. They would have checked her phone to make sure, you know what I mean? Like, it's so invasive.
Yeah.
I don't know how they even did all that and destroyed that card, like without some type of warrant. I get, like, it's just bizarre to me. It's not your
literally,
property.
yeah. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. It's not your property.
It's not your property. And DB makes a great point. If they were going to take the camera by the way, the contents on my camera are my property.
Yeah.
Period. Like, get a warrant. Period. Like, the contents on my camera belong to me and they're my property. And if I'm not mistaken, the reporters were on public property, not pointing their cameras in the direction of a public location, unless they voluntarily gave up their cameras. But like, so if they're like, okay, let me see your camera, whatever, you can't be here. Like, in what they probably in no world imagined that their shit was going to be deleted or confiscated. They probably thought that they would just show it to them and they would get them back, because that's what a reasonable professional journalist, photographer, news representative would think.
Crime or whatever.
Right. They're like, oh, well, this is a misunderstanding. Let's clear it up. No. You hand over your camera and they delete your shit.
How is NBC and the Associated Press's lawyers not all over this?
Dude, I don't fucking know.
Because now the story is, the story that's getting spread is that NBC and the Associated Press
broke the law or broke the rules.
Yeah, did something so vile as to try to capture jurors on camera.
Well, even Andrea last night,
you can't do that.
Even Andrea last night in her live, and like, of course, we're all in the chat, which she doesn't read, and we're glad she doesn't, or else she'd never get through stuff like I don't. Right. But like, she wasn't reading it, but she basically, because all she knows is what Judge Gold fucking tells them, and Judge Gold's a fucking liar.
Yep, and she announced it to everybody. It was the first thing out of her face when they got started.
You don't like how they made sure to tell Judge Gold right away that happened. Like, you don't have better things to work. This can't wait till later. You don't have better things to do. You're 11 minutes late because you have to deal with like.
Destroy the cameras, check the cameras, destroy. I don't understand. Like I said, I can't imagine that they're lawyers, and they're huge news agencies, not like the Carroll County Comet. They're not like a tiny, you didn't take any of those people's cameras.
The Associated Press is like the most power, like the most power. Like, what are they doing?
Were they and NBC or one or the other, were they part of that
coalition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like retribution to me. That's what I'd be arguing.
100%. Everything is retribution. Everything is retribution.
I think that's 100%. Clear. I don't know how anyone is still saying that it's not, in terms of her and what she does. And I don't know. Andrea said it's quite clear in person that she has absolute disdain, like specifically for whatever reason, for Andy Baldwin.
Yeah.
And, the jury doesn't need to see that. Like, you are a judge. You're supposed to be able to be composed. And like, maybe you do have disdain for him, but the whole courtroom shouldn't be highly, highly aware of that.
Like, that's literally the definition of bias. Like, if your disdain, you might not like you might not like somebody. You might not like them for a lot of reasons, justified or not. But like, are you able to set that aside? Is there an appearance of bias? There is such an appearance of bias here that it's distracting. Like, it's disruptive and distracting and uncomfortable.
Very, very
I can't
much.
take it, man.
I'm actually surprised, and you'll see, like, as you're going through this, I'm actually surprised that she allowed Baldwin to go on for as long as he did with the things that he said, and the way that she's been. But you could tell, like, once she stopped him, he basically ended, because at that point, it's like, well, now that she's, sua sponte decided to interrupt me, it's probably going to happen repeatedly now, So rather than the jury seeing that, I'm just going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I heard, and then she said that there was 2 offers of proof yesterday already.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what sucks is that she'll keep her composure and her decorum inside the courtroom in front of the jury, and the jury has no idea what she's doing to the media or the public because they don't get to see it. So she like plays nice and cordial and placates to the jury inside the courtroom, but acts like a fucking lunatic. Like, all of this is fucked.
I'm just waiting for an accusation against like Richard Allen's wife or something. Like, I'm waiting for something like that where then they're going to boot her, his support from the room. And it's sad for me to say that. And I do hope that I'm wrong, but there's no kind of like looking into it to see if it's even true. It's just, if an accusation is made, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's believed automatically and you get a penalty for it immediately.
KO says I'm waiting for arrests. They don't have anywhere to put anybody in Carroll County Jail, so I wish they would.
Did we get a ruling on Tobin yet?
No.
You know, I find it really, she takes everything under advisement, which is hilarious to me because anytime I see judges like taking things under advisement, it's because, I mean, it might be more of an argument, you could say, but most oftentimes it's because they plan to write like an extensive written order that explains why they're choosing that particular ruling. And she's literally never done that.
I don't get it.
So why is it still under advisement? Like, how are you now days later still thinking about this? You're not writing anything.
Dude. I don't know. But I just saw that they're out, and one of the reporters we follow, Kyla or Kit Hanley, or no, who is
that? The one with the cartoon?
Caitlin Kendall just tweeted. I'm gonna pull it up. She said court was a bit abbreviated today. Day 1 wrap up. She said Delphi trial day 2 was a bit of an abbreviated day in court. This thread has the latest, and she hasn't updated it yet. But I wonder why it was abbreviated.
Well, because it was short. It was only from 9 to noon.
Oh, right. I was thinking she meant like it was like disrupted or something.
Mm-hmm. See what our expectations are.
I know, dude. It's like we all have trauma. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything new though. Okay, well, I guess nothing new yet. I know, y'all. I'm paranoid. It was secret checking. What's this? Can someone give Andrea Burkhart a media pass? She gives much more details than any of the media. She's not able to eat or drink water. What the hell is happening? Why can't we know what's happening? I don't qualify as media under their definition. Got to be part of the club. News media is defined as persons employed by or representing a newspaper, periodical, press association, radio station, television station, or wire service. Representatives of news media organizations may be required to wear identification. The judge has discretion. Fucking A, dude. Members of the general public are prohibited from broadcasting, recording, or photographing court proceedings. So they're out. Oh, wait, Andrew's not there today. Never mind. Wow. So if the defense would snap a picture of Richard Allen in the courthouse, not in the courtroom, in his neat and tidy shirt and pants, would that breach a gag order or decorum order? You know, if there wasn't so much, this is like part of what I struggle with. If there wasn't so much on the line for Rick and the defense already, like if it wasn't so skewed and unfair and prejudiced against them already, I would say that something like this would be a really good, like, exercise in what Judge Gull, how far she's willing to go and what does or doesn't fly, you know? Like, if they took a picture of Rick and he looked healthy and tidy and they just posted or like somebody just posted a picture of him looking nice for court, what would happen? A social experiment.
I do
find but Andrea makes it is, but Andrea is employed. She's self-employed on YouTube. Like she is. This is her job. She has revenue from this. This is an outdated, archaic rule. And again, like it's totally in violation of the spirit of in my opinion, at least. Like, it's insane.
I got much more detailed and thorough information about what's happening inside that courtroom from Andrea than I did from anybody in the actual news.
This is a stupid rule. This is a stupid.
This was also days after they admit to us that they didn't report things to us, or did and then removed it because they were asked by the government to do so.
Okay, so we know that. All right, fine. So people like Andrea and Lawyer Lee and us, we don't qualify as media, but we are the as members of the public, we have the same public access rights as the media. So for them
they're
to
only accessing it for us.
That's not how it works. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. I'm so out of my mind over all of this. Like, for them to bar Lawyer Lee from viewing the exhibits yesterday. I understand that I'm glad that Lawyer Lee didn't, cause a scene. Of course she never would. You or I probably would, but
Andrea will. She will create.
Good, right? But like we need them in there today. But like, if they are brazen enough to do that to somebody like Lee, oh, we got a thread. Like they don't
know her, so they don't care. And they also, if they did know who she is, then she's technically competition.
Yeah, I think they know who she is. I think they make it a point too. But I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. All right, here's Dave. Dave did a thread. Share screen. Dave Banger. Dave says, today in Delphi murder trial of Richard Allen. Testimony this morning focused on the search for Abby and Libby near the Monon High Bridge after they did not return to meet their ride. Steve Mullen was the Delphi police chief at the time, testified about returning to work that night to help the sheriff dispatch coordinate the initial search before it was called off just before 2 a.m. I still believed they'd be found, Mullen said. Using a large map of the area and low-flying drone footage, Mullen gave a visual tour of the Monon High Bridge trail and the key landmarks near it. Prosecutor Nick McClellan said he had to remember that the court was working with a jury from Allen County, not Carroll County. Mullen said he returned February 14th to help coordinate searches, sending teams of 2 and 3 with maps to search the area. Delphi resident Jake Johns testified that his boss at his propane distribution job Jake Johns testified that his boss at his propane distribution job asked if he and a coworker wanted to spend their shift helping in the search. They walked along Deer Creek from Riley Park, a few blocks from the Carroll County Courthouse Square, to the Monon High Bridge. Johns testified that nearly 4 hours into their search, they spotted a tie-dyed shirt hung up on roots sticking out along Deer Creek. Bruh. Johns testified that his partner called Delphi resident Pat Brown, who was in the area looking just north and across Deer Creek, and called him to walk their way. They were on the phone with him when Brown told them we found the bodies. Brown testified.
Stop. So Pat Brown did find the bodies?
Yes, he did.
And was on the phone with them when he found the bodies?
With Jake Johns, yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I thought that Becky explicitly said that it was not Pat Brown that found them.
I think she did, but Brown didn't testify today. Johns did, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought it said Brown. I thought like the one before that said.
So Johns testified, but Dave has here Brown testified that what he saw. Okay, so he means Pat.
Yeah.
But Pat Brown didn't testify today.
Well, then he can't be testifying to what Pat saw or said or whatever.
Right. He can't be right. So Pat Brown had to have testified today, right?
Right.
I'm so over this.
Unless they didn't mean to write Brown, instead meant to write Jakes or whatever. But again, this is my problem.
I know. But it says that Brown testified that what he saw looked like mannequins. So because Jake Johns didn't see the bodies, Pat Brown did. Damn it. Does anyone know how to interpret this better than how I am? So either Jake Johns was testifying as to what Pat Brown saw, which is not allowed, right? That's hearsay. Or Pat Brown also testified in court today about what he saw. I don't know what to make of this. However, regardless, they both testified today. Thank you, Fluffy Bunny. Oh, God. Like, all right. So Pat Brown testified that what he saw looked like mannequins at first. He choked up when calling Delphi Police Department Chief Mullen. So he called Mullen directly. He said the police were there in about 5 minutes, but it seemed like it felt forever. Okay. Court was in session until 11:45. Why? What is the point of having a 2.5 hour?
Because she wants to leave exactly at noon and probably didn't want to get involved in another witness, or Nick didn't have another witness available. But that should be included in your reporting.
David Erskine, yeah, see, I don't know. A lot of people, I think we're going to find a lot of people. I don't know.
Found them?
Why make everybody read and wait in line for that? Right. To exhaust people. Yeah, this is all intentional. Is Jake John? No, Jake Johns is just a citizen, Mandy. I don't think I said that. Jake Johns is just a citizen. He works at a propane something company, and he just happened to be a searcher that morning looking for the girls and found came upon Libby's tie-dyed shirt hung up on roots in the water, which, okay, so it was probably thrown or placed there if it's hanging up on roots. And he called Pat Brown. So Jake Johns he was on the south side, saw the clothes in the water on the roots and called Pat Brown, who was on the north side. And he knew Pat Brown was over there, and he ushered Pat Brown to come towards, yeah. And as Pat Brown was traversing towards where the clothes would have been, he found the bodies, is what it sounds like, which actually aligns with what I've heard before. Man, I got a lot of questions. What sucks too is that like the people that have, so basically this case has like librarians, right? Researchers, like there's so much to it, and it's been going on for so long that there's just like minute details and facts and characters and people. Allie will be live at 12:45. Oh my God. Okay. Just like a lot of things that it would be really helpful, I would imagine, for people who are like really, really well versed in the case to have access to clear up some of this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't, man. It's just too much. 12:45. All right, so here's a link to Defense Diaries. Live from Carroll County. Allie goes to court. So I'm gonna link this. Phoebe, I think that was Jake Johns who was looking through their phone and zoomed in, saw deer and bodies. That's just yeah. See, again, I think that what we hear what comes out in the trial through witness testimony versus what we've heard over the past 7 years will be probably not totally in line, not necessarily contradictory, but just like we're just going to hear facts, and like trials don't necessarily ever reveal like the full truth. It's just, who knows? I don't know how satisfying anything that we learn will really feel, because this all sucks. But I don't know. Jay and the reviewers just joined. Cool. I'm so mad. Dr. Vonna says, same with public access to venues. If you let the Christians use your high school auditorium, you have to let the Satanists have their services there too. Exactly. And thank God that the Satanists in the United States will actually have a backbone and the initiative and see the value and importance in making a statement and taking a stand and filing something asserting that. You think the Satanists give a shit about whether or not they can be in the auditorium to have their meetings? No, they don't want to go to a school and have their meetings, but they want everybody to be allowed to if they want to. And so they filed a suit with the ACLU. I think that they had the ACLU. I don't know. But they basically filed a suit saying that this is discrimination. You can't let the Christians congregate and gather in the high school auditorium for their Christian meeting and not let the Satanists do it, because you can't, because that's not how we operate here. And they were successful. And so they're very, I wish we had some Satanists helping us litigate here, because honestly, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what we can do other than just continue to rant and rave. But I do think that we need to be more organized. And when I talk about like hashtagging or congregating our message, I mean, like, you get more flies with honey than piss and vinegar. I think that there's a way to mobilize as the public and join with the media. They need to know that we support them, but we also hold them to a higher standard than what we're seeing. And if they're not going to do their job, then what is that? Like, Judge Gold talks about losing confidence in the media. That's a disgusting thing to say in an order. Like, fuck you. No one cares about your confidence in the media. But like, now the public, I have lost confidence in the media. And I'm not saying it's not irredeemable, but like, do something, because this is not Delphi specific. It's Delphi focused, because Delphi right now is the center of our universe, as it should be. But these are like really larger scale issues, and they're not going to stop with Rick. Like, the shit that we've seen unfold in this case, the decisions that have been made, and Andrea was comforting the other night because she was like, so precedent setting happens in appellate courts. Like, just because Judge Gold rules something in a trial court doesn't mean that, unless you're Nick McClellan, then you're going to cite a trial court decision in a motion, like an idiot. But the reality is that there is a precedent being set just in general in terms of what the public will accept in Indiana and beyond, what the media is willing to accept. Like, is it really as simple as turf? Because if turf war is the answer, turf war is why this case is unsolved. So there's a problem in Indiana with turf, it seems. Like, I'm just like beside myself. Oh, shit. So Allie's live. I don't know if I should end and go over to Allie, but if she's just going to do like a 5-minute update, I don't really want to end our stream.
I can go check.
Yeah,
I'll come back.
Because I want to send people over there, but I also, like, if it's going to be like a 2-minute update and then they're going to do a longer one later, like, I'm probably not going to bother. So Dr. Vonda, Pat Brown is a local resident who lives in Delphi, I think he lives very near to where the bodies were found, by the Mears, by the Logan property. Like, he lives in that area of, like, is it east or west Delphi? I don't know, by the trails. And he was searching that morning, and he was on the side of the creek where the bodies were. On the side, yeah. So Yeah. Anyway, nailed it. I don't even remember what I said. I just rant, and I feel like what happened to the aunt who went down to the ravine? I think that the families were called. So like there. This is why we need like. Thank you, DB. Thank you, Judy. Anyway. Turf Wars Media. That's not acceptable. It's unacceptable. And since when does the AP, and I can see like, I guess, news organization like AP or NBC being like, it's not worth it. But like, it is worth it. I'll be shocked if I will be shocked, but not surprised if they don't file something soon. They should have filed. Allie got yelled at by Gull. Okay, here's the updates. Allie got yelled at by Gull. Sleuthy's going to update me in the DMs. How? What'd she do? Y'all. Okay, but I kind of love it. Yeah. Still waiting. Everyone says, what? Waiting for details. Oh my gosh. So anyway, Judge Gull flipped out on Allie. No, Bob's not there today. It's just Allie. Waiting for details. Man. Someone said something earlier about how, like, she was trying to view the exhibits. Allie was trying to view the exhibits. Some lady told her it was only for credentialed media. Y'all. This is a pressure cooker. This is not acceptable. Y'all, no. They in my opinion, there's like, she told her the public record statute, Allie said, the public record statute doesn't say that, and I will let the judge tell me herself. Hi, Puppy Power. So Allie Mata, brilliant attorney, attended the trial this morning, and after the trial concluded, holy shit. After the trial concluded, Allie, she said, I think this was yesterday. Allie went to where the public exhibits are to view them, and someone told her to leave. You're not, and Allie, she said that this is for credentialed media only, and Allie said that's not what the public record statute states. No, Puppy Power. Allie's not the one who stood up. Hey, Gravit. Allie is not with the defense. She's just a member of the public. She's married to Bob Mata, who is also a defense attorney. Allie asked when the public would have an opportunity to view the exhibits, and Gull repeated, ma'am, leave. So Gull asked Allie if she's a member of credentialed media, and Allie said no, and Gull said, ma'am, leave. And Allie said, when will the public get an opportunity to view the exhibits? And Gull repeated, ma'am, leave. Allie went to cite the statute, and Gull again said, ma'am, leave. So she left after 3 times. I think that was yesterday. Gull was cutting Allie off to yesterday. Was this yesterday? Right. High Sleuths investigates. Yeah, absolutely. The public should be the public exhibits should be available to the public should be able to view the public exhibits. Its public access rights goal is yet again being unconstitutional. No, this would not have been in front of the jury. Yes, Sleuth investigates. I totally agree. Wow. Y'all, I linked Allie if y'all want to hear it from her directly. I don't want to conclude our stream if it's going to be a short. Oh, it had to be today. Oh, wait. No, maybe it was yesterday. So Sleuthy says it wasn't clear if this was today or yesterday, although now she's updating a couple of things from yesterday too. So sorry, y'all. If you want to watch Allie firsthand, you can. Here's the link to go over to Defense Diaries and watch the update. My goodness. I have no words, dude.
Should it be just the media? So on Thursday, when we were all here, Bob and I had lunch with lawyer Lee and Andrea, and Andrea and I were talking about how, we should go too. Like, why should it be just the media? So I stayed in the courtroom and the media was doing their thing. So I got in line and everybody was fine. And like some people were talking to me because some of them knew me and there were other people still in the courtroom and everything was fine and casual. And then I wanted to stay and figure out from what station or outlet this woman was from. She comes up to me all snarky. "Are you credentialed media?" I'm like, "No." She was like, "This is for credentialed media." And I was like, "Well, the public record statute says that this is supposed to be for the public, so I'll let the judge tell me." So this little tattletale, like, what? Why are you, what do you care if the public gets to see something? Like, you're so protective of your station. Other stations are releasing it. Like, what is little old me going to, am I really like taking your numbers down? Am I like coming in and honing in on your, your territory here? Going to take all your viewers, whatever. So she kind of backs up and says, "Well, the judge said," and sort of says it like louder so the judge can hear. So the judge says, "Are you credentialed media?" Or she addressed me somehow. And I said, "No, Your Honor, but I'm the public and the public record." She's like, "Ma'am, leave." And I said, "Okay, Your Honor, I'll leave. But when is the opportunity for the public pursuant to statute?" "Ma'am, leave." She got a little louder. I said something else because I'm not about to back down that easily. Was trying to like get in and cite the statute, but she wouldn't let me. By the third, "Ma'am, leave," I left. I mean, I didn't want to get Bob's spot pulled. So that was that whole scenario.
Wow. We'll find out. Yeah. Allie said, let the judge tell me. Okay, y'all. So I think we should go over and listen to Allie because it looks like she's settled and doing a longer stream. So I'm going to end and I'm going to hop over and watch Allie too. And maybe we'll reconvene later today. I haven't really decided. If y'all decide you want to or whatever, we will. But there you go. And we will talk soon. Okay.